propel him to the ground. Lin Hui chuckled softly, redirecting his aim at the next enemy. As the gunfire gradually subsided, darkness enveloped the surroundings. Takasugi and his men hastily approached. Confronted by the harrowing sight of the ravaged forest, littered with the lifeless bodies of monkey soldiers, leaving them speechless in shock, Li Guitao surveyed the scene, swallowing hard as he remarked, "Commander, it appears that the enemy seems to be completely annihilated." Takasugi's lips twitched in disbelief. How did he feel so superfluous? Rushing over only to find that the enemy had been obliterated? Were they there to rescue their own, or to save these monkey soldiers? Chapter 149. The Border Commander's Astonishment. Lin Hui is your commander? Report, there are 2 bodies here. Li Guitao hastily approached, soon discovering the corpses of 2 monkey soldiers amidst the grass. Their heads bore gaping wounds, still oozing blood, their faces grotesquely contorted, evidently having fallen from the trees. Climbing trees for combat is the forte of the monkey soldiers, and in this lush environment, it is exceedingly difficult to detect a hidden presence among the branches. Years ago, Sam suffered greatly at their hands, yet now, it is astonishing to find them faltering in their own domain. Ahead lies a multitude of corpses. Hearing the commotion, Li Guitao swiftly rose to his feet and dashed forward. In a patch of grass, he discovered the lifeless forms of 4 or 5 monkey soldiers sprawled on the ground, their bullet wounds glaringly apparent. It appears they fell victim to an ambush. The monkey soldiers are renowned for their expertise in jungle ambushes and guerrilla warfare tactics. Observing that they had divided into small groups, Li Guitao surmised they intended to exploit the terrain to their advantage in battle. Yet, it is unfathomable that they were defeated in a realm where they excelled. As Li Guitao continued to lead his men forward, the number of monkey soldier corpses multiplied. One officer had even been struck in a most unfortunate manner, a bullet lodged squarely in his rear. The audacity of the assailant is beyond comprehension. Recalling his earlier encounter with Lin Hui and his ragtag group, appearing as wild men in tattered garments, Li Guitao initially dismissed their claims as mere bravado. Now, the truth of their prowess is undeniable. Their infiltration skills, marksmanship, and tactical application are impeccable. Even a special forces unit might struggle to achieve such seamless coordination. At that moment, Takasugi, utterly astonished, felt as if he had been knocked off his feet. Upon receiving the news, he had hurriedly assembled his team, racing along treacherous mountain roads, nearly overturning his vehicle on several occasions. Yet upon arrival, he realized his presence was unnecessary. Initially concerned for his own men's safety, he now found himself more worried for the monkey soldiers. Shaking off his astonishment, Takasugi turned to Li Guitao and inquired, "Is it a special forces unit? If it were, I wouldn't bother you. But if it's not special forces, could it possibly be a conventional unit? This level of skill seems beyond the capability of an ordinary battalion." Li Guitao replied with a wry smile and a shake of his head, "It is merely a conventional combat unit conducting training nearby. The 602nd Division of the Southwest War Zone, led by a 2nd lieutenant, I believe his name is. Sha sha sha." Suddenly, a sound from the distance caused everyone to instinctively tense up. Just as they were about to raise their weapons, a cheerful voice rang out from the darkness. "Don't be alarmed, it's us. Lower your guns, it's our own." Li Guitao immediately recognized Lin Hui's voice. Takasugi furrowed his brow, finding the voice oddly familiar, yet unable to place it. Soon, figures emerged from the shadows, and leading them was none other than Lin Hui. Approaching Takasugi, he greeted him with a cheerful salute. "Captain Gao, long time no see. Do you still remember me?" Upon seeing that beaming face, Takasugi was momentarily taken aback before abruptly realizing You are Lin Hui. Lin Hui chuckled. "After all this time, it is truly an honor that the captain still remembers me." Beside them, Li Guitao was left bewildered. "Sir, you know each other?" Gao Sugan chuckled, patting Lin Hui on the back, and said, "I know him all too well. Last year, he was the champion of our Border Defense Brigade's martial arts competition. But later, this ungrateful lad ran off to other places. Quite impressive, though. He's become a 2nd lieutenant. If you had stayed with us, you would at least be a captain by now." Lin Hui awkwardly rubbed his nose, realizing that the commander still harbored some grievances about his departure. "All right, you may step aside for now." Gao Sugan turned to the crowd, smilingly inquired, "Where is your brigade commander? I wish to meet him." Everyone simultaneously looked at Lin Hui, leaving Gao Sugan momentarily perplexed. "Why are you all looking at him? Does he have flowers on his face?" Zhang Jiantao saluted and awkwardly replied, "Comrade Commander, Lin Hui is indeed our brigade commander." Gao Sugan nearly choked on his own blood. "Did you say something incorrect, or have my ears deceived me? A 2nd lieutenant commanding an entire brigade?" Yet, observing the expressions of his comrades, it appeared they were not joking. Gao Sugan cast a bewildered glance at Lin Hui, his eyes filled with skepticism. "Is what they say true?" Lin Hui chuckled. "It's only temporary. Our brigade commander values my abilities, hence I am entrusted with leading training." "Did you command this battle as well?" "Indeed, Not too shabby, right? In truth, we hardly exerted ourselves. Those foes perished effortlessly. Gao Sugan was left speechless. You call that not exerting yourself? Those wretches died with sheer terror etched on their faces. At this moment, Lin Hui wore a proud expression. This was his first experience commanding troops in battle. Although the number of enemies defeated wasn't vast, he had nonetheless defended his homeland, vanquishing those malicious adversaries. He had fulfilled his duties and responsibilities as a soldier, having not betrayed the military uniform he wore. Gao Sugan glanced at Li Guotao and the rest of the old Tiger Brigade, feeling somewhat overwhelmed. How had this lad transformed so remarkably in just a year? His impression of Lin Hui had been that of a commendable soldier during the military competition. But he never anticipated that this young man would now exhibit exceptional combat command skills, leading an entire brigade into battle. Had he known it would turn out this way, he would have knelt and begged to keep the lad with them. Yet, it was too late to lament now. Gao Sugan playfully punched Lin Hui on the chest, laughing heartily. Truly a soldier from our border defense forces, you possess remarkable talent. Your strength has truly impressed me. Rest assured, when we return, I shall personally commend you. Lin Hui shook his head. Commander, let's discuss this matter later. The situation isn't yet resolved. Gao Sugan furrowed his brow. Are you suggesting they will return? Lin Hui nodded, solemnly stating, this group of rascals has gone to great lengths with the aim of seizing the mountain we guard. If they succeed, it will facilitate their infiltration and harassment of us in the future. Therefore, I am certain they will not simply retreat after this encounter. They will undoubtedly send more troops. Gao Sugan remained silent but expressed his agreement. Since they had already prepared for armed infiltration, it indicated their resolute determination. They would not rest until they had captured that territory. Li Guotao nodded in agreement, stating, you are absolutely correct. This band of monkeys undoubtedly has a backup plan. We must be thoroughly prepared. Takasuji turned to Lin Hui, raising an eyebrow and inquiring, since you have proposed this idea, it indicates you must have a strategy in mind. Do share. With a mischievous grin, Lin Hui lowered his voice and replied, indeed, I have a method in mind. Upon hearing the entire plan, Li Guotao and Takasuji's expressions twisted in disbelief, their faces paling. This scheme was rather ruthless. Takasuji patted Lin Hui on the shoulder, earnestly advising, Lin Hui, ever since you left our border defense, what dubious ideas have you been learning? Such tactics may be suitable for dealing with the enemy, but do refrain from employing them against our own. Lin Hui chuckled, Commander, what are you saying? I have always treated my comrades like brothers. It is only against these scoundrels that I devised this idea. Zhang Jiantao and his crew snickered. We haven't seen you show any leniency towards us. Your training has been relentless. He clapped his hands and declared, all right, we all understand the plan now. Let's get moving. The group nodded in agreement, quickly dispersing to begin stripping the clothing from the corpses. This was a task they had become quite accustomed to. At the border of Monkey Country, within the command center, chaos reigned as instruments beeped incessantly. Suddenly, a messenger stood up, shouting, report. We have just received word that all our positions have been destroyed, and nearly all personnel lying in ambush in the woods have perished, with only 1 or 2 managing to escape. Bang! The monkey commander slammed his palm onto the table. Seething with rage, what are these fools doing? How could they be defeated in the woods? The infiltrators had spent months gradually penetrating the area, all to execute this surprise attack today. Yet now, before the assault had even commenced, all had perished? Would this not render the entire plan futile? The chief of staff furrowed his brow and remarked, it seems their reinforcements must have arrived. Otherwise, such a scenario would not have occurred. Commander, what shall we do now? The monkey commander, seething with fury, replied, what can we do? That area holds immense strategic significance for us. The higher-ups have decreed that we must seize it at any cost. Only then can we continue to encroach further. To be cautious, he immediately called to consult with the division commander. On the other end of the line, the commander's voice reverberated, causing his eardrums to throb. You must mobilize the entire regiment immediately and launch a full assault. That area must be reclaimed at all costs. Understood. The monkey commander nodded solemnly. Chapter 150. Those who play tactics have dark hearts. The entire regiment of monkey soldiers received their orders and quickly assembled. Commander Fan Wenhao stood before them and coldly declared, that area is essential for our nation, regardless of the cost. We must reclaim it. Yes, they set off, fully armed and marching forward with great determination. As they approached the valley, a scout rushed back in a flurry to report, Commander, there is a discovery ahead. Fan Wenhao frowned and asked, what is it? The scout hesitated, unsure of how to articulate his thoughts. Perhaps you should see for yourself. Suddenly, Fan Wenhao grasped the gravity of the situation. His expression shifted dramatically, and he swiftly followed, exclaiming, lead me there. After a brief walk, they arrived at a tree where 2 corpses of monkey soldiers hung grotesquely. Their bodies had been mercilessly battered, grotesquely contorted in death, presenting a sight of utter desolation. Fan Wenhao clenched his fists, a surge of rage boiling within him. Halt! Everyone! Disperse and search the surroundings for additional bodies. Remain vigilant for ambushes. The group quickly scattered, yet found no immediate threats. Once assured of their safety, Fan Wenhao hastened ahead. The deeper they moved into the valley, the more cadavers they encountered, strewn haphazardly, as if discarded from the mountains above. Some were so mangled that they were unrecognizable, while others appeared twisted beyond belief. Nonetheless, the attire they wore provided clear evidence that they were indeed their own. Fan Wenhao's eyes reddened with fury as he struck a tree with his fist. Damn it! Damn it! These despicable Yinghua people have treated our fallen as if they were mere refuse, tossed aside like wild dogs. This is a blatant insult and provocation. They would pay dearly for this. They must perish. The individuals here had infiltrated gradually over a long period, investing vast resources of time and money into this plan. Moreover, these were his elite operatives. Now, not only had they been slaughtered, but their remains were carelessly discarded like waste in the valley. Trembling with rage, his heart bleeding for the fallen, Fan Wenhao vowed, "These cursed enemies shall pay in blood for their transgressions." The chief of staff, equally pained, inquired, "Commander, what shall we do with these bodies? We cannot simply leave them in the valley." The terrain was low-lying, with streams running through it. Should a storm arise, the valley would flood, and the corpses would surely be swept away. Even if they remained, they were likely to be devoured by wolves or wild boars. Regardless, they had sacrificed their lives for the sake of the Monkey Kingdom. Gazing at the scattered remains, Fan Wenhao, overwhelmed with sorrow, declared, "Designate a portion of our men to return the bodies. The rest will continue the assault with me. We must secure that area. Their sacrifices cannot be in vain. Blood must be avenged." The chief of staff nodded gravely. The way they treated their own warranted a reciprocal response. The grievances of decades past, compounded by today's outrages, must be reconciled in full. A contingent was left behind to transport the bodies, while the rest followed Fan Wenhao through the valley, pressing onward. Suddenly, one of the monkey soldiers stumbled upon a Type 95 automatic rifle on the ground. A nearby comrade, intrigued, remarked, "I heard that the entire Yinghua army has been re-equipped. Let us see how it compares to our own." Driven by curiosity, the two individuals picked up the firearm lying on the ground. To their astonishment, they discovered it was tethered with a transparent fishing line. "What is this?" Suddenly, an explosion erupted, scattering the two like leaves in the wind. The unexpected detonation startled everyone present. Fan Wenhao turned abruptly. "What happened?" "I don't know. Hurry, go see what is going on." "Yes." One soldier dashed forward but stumbled over a corpse in his haste. In the next moment, from beneath the corpse's abdomen, two grenades rolled out as if laid by a hen. "Damn it!" The nearby soldier's pupils dilated in horror upon seeing the grenades. Before they could flee, the terrifying sound of the explosion sent several of them flying through the air. Shrapnel whirled like a tempest, turning the nearby area into a deadly sieve. Fan Wenhao sprinted towards the scene, and as he grasped the gravity of the situation, he shouted urgently, "This is an enemy ambush. Do not touch the bodies. Fall back. Retreat into the woods immediately." The entire contingent moved cautiously, retreating as if walking on thin ice, fearful of triggering another trap or landmine. Fan Wenhao's face flushed with anger. The veins on his forehead bulged as he realized he had underestimated his adversary. Utilizing corpses as bait for an ambush was a tactic so vile it surpassed anything he had encountered in years of warfare. Not far away, concealed within the underbrush, Lin Hui lay camouflaged, with only his piercing eyes visible, fixated upon them. Having come this far, escaping was not so simple. With a sinister grin, he picked up the radio and uttered two words, "Attack! Attack!" At that moment, the fainting corpse of Zhang Jiantao received the command, leaping to his feet with a fierce shout. Instantly, numerous corpses in the valley rose as if resurrected. Zombies. The retreating soldiers were frozen in terror, believing they were confronted by the vengeful spirits of the dead. Seizing the moment before they could react, the ambushers unleashed a torrent of gunfire. Bullets rained down upon the soldiers, catching them unprepared. Fan Wenhao and his chief of staff, in a panic, scrambled behind a rock for cover. Behind the stone, a monkey battalion commander turned pale with fear. How could our people be alive? Fan Wenhao was furious, his head nearly bursting with rage. Those despicable fiends not only set traps with our fallen, but also mingled their own among the corpses to launch a surprise attack. The monkey commander's jaw dropped in disbelief. What kind of treachery is this? Isn't there saying in Yin Nation that the dead deserve respect? Aren't they supposed to uphold international law and morality? Why resort to such dirty tactics now? Trembling, the monkey commander implored, "Sir, what should we do now?" Fan Wenhao's expression darkened, nearly dripping with despair. They had already lost a fifth of their forces in that first encounter. Given the presence of an ambush, remaining here to fight was not an option. Otherwise, they would undoubtedly fall into the trap. Clenching his fists, he bellowed, "Everyone, disperse and enter the forest. Engage in guerrilla tactics, launch ambushes. Should they dare to pursue, it will be their demise." Yes. Chapter 151. The monkey captain wept, unable to fight, unable to escape. Upon receiving the command, the monkey soldiers swiftly scattered, charging into the woods. Lin Hui immediately discerned their intent. They aimed to utilize the forest against us. It seemed these fellows possessed considerable confidence in jungle warfare. However, this time, they had miscalculated. He spoke into the individual radio with a smile. "The prey has entered the trap. Now, let us witness your performance and show them what true jungle tactics entail." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A swarm of monkey soldiers darted through the underbrush, moving faster than rabbits. The jungle environment was complex, shrouded in dim light and humidity for the unacquainted. Mere survival would pose a challenge, let alone combat. Yet, they were different. Much of monkey country was cloaked in dense jungle, and they had grown up in such an environment. Thus, once they entered the forest, it felt like returning home. Even the gods would not intimidate them. 3 monkey soldiers formed a triangular formation, sprinting ahead with agility. Soon, the leader spotted an excellent ambush site. The terrain rose slightly ahead, blanketed with foliage. Concealing themselves there would render them virtually invisible. "Over there," the leader signaled, and the other 2 nodded in understanding, rushing toward the location. Having undergone extensive field training, they required little communication to grasp each other's intentions. Just as they were about to close in, a loud bang echoed as a large net sprang from the ground, ensnaring all 3 and hoisting them into the trees. "It's over, we've been deceived." The monkey soldiers, now entangled, scrambled to draw their knives to sever the vines. But in the next instant, the camouflage in the nearby underbrush was torn away, and Suda and his team opened fire, eliminating them all. "Let us move to another location." Suda cast a glance at the 3 corpses, and he and his companions swiftly changed their position, crouching low. They had merely used the surrounding areas conducive to ambush as bait, waiting for their prey. In terms of jungle combat, while the monkey soldiers had their advantages, they were not lacking in skill either. Their insight, alertness, and tactics far surpassed those of the monkey soldiers. After all, the monkey soldiers had not been trained by those unscrupulous and cunning individuals, so they did not need to be constantly on guard against Lin Hui's treachery. It could be said that they had matured under the duress of Lin Hui's despicable and shameless training. Meanwhile, 5 monkey soldiers slithered across the grass like snakes. Suddenly, the leading figure halted, prompting the others to stop in tandem. "What's wrong? Move up." The leader pointed to the towering tree above. This tree was the tallest and largest in the vicinity, its canopy thick and lush. Should they conceal themselves within, they would not only gain a vantage point, but also an advantage in visibility. Due to the lush foliage, even if the enemy detected them, a counterattack would be futile for the moment. They could maneuver like monkeys, darting back and forth among the trunks to evade capture. Without hesitation, a few monkeys swiftly rose, taking advantage of the unobserved situation. They climbed the tree in a human pyramid fashion, their movements rapid and impeccably coordinated. In the blink of an eye, a monkey soldier ascended a towering tree, reaching heights of over 10 meters. However, just as his head emerged from the foliage, a cold, hard object pressed against him, a gun. In that instant, he realized it was a firearm. A chill of fear swept over him. "How did you know we would climb the tree?" Chinaru could not comprehend the monkey's language, yet by observing its panic-stricken demeanor, he could surmise. What else could these little monkeys do besides climbing trees? "I've been waiting for you here for quite some time. How dare you only show up now?" With that thought, he pulled the trigger. Bang! A bullet pierced through the monkey's forehead, creating a ghastly wound. The others still ascending the tree were startled by the gunfire, hastily attempting to flee. However, just a few steps away, the sound of gunfire erupted from several nearby trees. Bang, bang, bang. The monkeys were instantly riddled with bullets, collapsing into a pool of blood. One monkey soldier gazed at the shadowy figures above, his eyes gradually losing focus. He could not fathom why a tactic that was their specialty in the monkey kingdom was being executed with such finesse by the enemy, who appeared even more formidable. The same scene unfolded throughout the forest, with numerous monkey soldiers being ambushed and eliminated. The jungle warfare tactics they prided themselves on not only proved ineffective, but instead led them toward the abyss of death. Hidden behind trees, in the grass, behind rocks, and even in the mud, the soldiers of Yen were lying in wait. This group of monkey soldiers had initially believed they would showcase their prowess upon entering. Yet they soon realized they could neither escape nor fight back. Death was inescapable. Report to the commander. A blood-soaked monkey sergeant rushed to Fan Wenhao, tears streaming down his face as he reported, "The enemy is too formidable. They have set up ambushes in the forest, waiting for us to enter. Roughly estimated, we have lost at least 2/3 of our forces." Fan Wenhao nearly coughed up blood in disbelief. How could this be possible? The jungle was their domain. Even if the enemy had laid traps, they could not be this powerful. What was happening? The sergeant's eyes widened in horror. Commander, those Yin soldiers were prepared. They intend to annihilate us. We have encountered a true adversary. Jungle warfare is simply beyond our capability. Fan Wenhao felt a surge of frustration, nearly exploding with rage. They had already been ambushed in the river valley. He had thought that entering the forest would enable them to deliver a decisive blow to the enemy. Little did he expect they had walked into a trap, for the enemy had already established their ambush within the woods. In the current predicament, it seems that retreat is the only option. Just then, a rustling sound of leaves permeated the surroundings. The enemy had encircled them. The monkey captain shouted anxiously, "Commander, what shall we do? We are so few. If we are surrounded, we shall all perish." As Fan Wenhao observed the increasing number of silhouettes, terror gripped him, and he felt an overwhelming urge to flee. Without a moment's hesitation, he bellowed, "Retreat, swiftly retreat." Upon receiving the order, the monkey soldiers exhaled in relief, tears streaming down their faces. They darted away, faster than rabbits, and even the swiftest hounds would struggle to catch up. Nothing is more terrifying than being ruthlessly defeated in one's area of expertise. Previously, they would have been elated to encounter the enemy in the forest, but now, all they yearned for was escape, a return to their mothers. These soldiers of Yin Nation were overly cautious. In the woods, they were no match for the enemy, unworthy even of carrying their shoes. In such circumstances, there was no alternative but to flee. In the forest, the monkey soldiers scurried about like ants disturbed from their nest, some losing their shoes in the chaos. Lin Hui observed from a distance, a cold smile gracing his lips. With such meager strength, they dared to be arrogant? In the past, we could have left you searching for your teeth. Even now, we could do the same. Chapter 152, Follow the Enemy's Path. Leave them no escape. Watching the monkey soldiers abandon their gear and flee in disarray, Gao Shan burst into laughter. These individuals specialized in jungle tactics, but had unexpectedly met their match. The sensation was utterly exhilarating. Lin Hui, you truly have a knack for this. I shall personally award you a first-class merit, Gao Shan exclaimed, delivering a playful punch to Lin Hui's chest. He then called to the others, "Everyone, pursue them. Not a single monkey soldier shall escape. They must learn that our Yin Nation's land is not to be entered and exited at will." Just as Gao Shan was about to charge forward, Lin Hui grasped his arm and pulled him back. "Wait," he commanded. "What is the matter?" Gao Shan asked, puzzled. Lin Hui waved his hand and said, "Do not pursue a desperate foe. Let them go." Gao Shan nearly misheard him, his voice rising incredulously. "Let them go? Are you joking? We have so many men, and we are on the verge of encircling them. Wouldn't it be splendid to eliminate them all? If we do not eradicate these pests, they will return to trouble us. The 328 border has known no peace." Several company commanders approached, their faces reflecting disbelief at Lin Hui's directive to refrain from pursuit. It felt as though a bucket of cold water had been thrown over them. "We must pursue. How can we let such a golden opportunity slip away?" Lin Hui, confronted with their skepticism and piercing gazes, calmly replied, "My reasoning for this arrangement is sound. These individuals have become like stray dogs. Even if we were to catch them and eliminate them, what would it achieve? Moreover, one would not presume that the entirety of the monkey soldiers' capabilities is confined to what has been witnessed thus far. Their prowess in jungle warfare has garnered them international renown. And such mastery is far from simple." Takasuji discerned the underlying implications in the conversation and furrowed his brow, inquiring, "Are you suggesting that they possess a contingency plan?" Lin Hui nodded affirmatively. "Have you forgotten what the monkey soldiers excel at? It is their unparalleled skill in tunneling. I firmly believe that during their infiltration, they have excavated countless tunnels throughout this mountain. If we push them into a corner, they will simply burrow into the depths, rendering us the ones in a precarious position." At these words, the countenances of all present tightened, instinctively recalling the battles fought decades prior. At that time, a significant force was deployed by Sam in a large-scale engagement with the Monkey Kingdom within the forests. Despite their outdated weaponry and limited manpower, the monkeys displayed remarkable expertise in tunneling and training special operative units. Although they could not prevail in direct combat, they ingeniously utilized their operatives and scattered troops to launch ambushes through various tunnel openings, achieving unexpected success. Their tactics, albeit reminiscent of rodents, left Sam's forces in disarray, unable to devise a countermeasure. Ultimately, the mere sight of the forest instilled panic and dread among the soldiers, for none could ascertain the number of subterranean passages or the hidden presence of monkey soldiers within. Subsequently, when they engaged with Yin Kingdom, they employed this crafty method of warfare to its fullest extent, frantically tunneling through the mountains. Some tunnels interconnected and could stretch for hundreds of meters, while others converged into singular openings, creating an intricate network. Once the monkey soldiers descended into these tunnels, navigating within became a near impossibility for pursuers. Furthermore, the narrow passages allowed only for single-file movement. Should one encounter an adversary within, retreat would be futile, leading to inevitable demise. Takasugi solemnly nodded. You are correct. The monkey soldiers fell into ambush due to their overconfidence. If given the chance, they would undoubtedly resort to their tunnels. The absence of such activity suggests that the tunnels lie ahead, closer to their borders. Lin Hui concurred. Precisely. That is why I insist we do not pursue. It would be a fruitless endeavor. Takasugi sighed inwardly, lamenting the lost opportunity. If only they had managed to encircle the enemy sooner. Capturing them in their entirety would have been ideal. Now, as they retreat, it is certain they will return, posing future threats to this region. As the commander of the Border Defense Forces, he was acutely aware of the Monkey Kingdom's insidious ambitions. Once they regained their strength, it would not be long before they sought to infiltrate again, perhaps even tunneling through this very location. These individuals resembled termites, gnawing away little by little. And one day they would undoubtedly seize our territory. With a sense of resignation, Takasugi declared, Very well, let us return. The number we have eliminated is sufficient. He patted Lin Hui on the shoulder and smiled. Regardless, your contributions are undeniable. Now let us head back. Return to do what? Lin Hui queried. Takasugi paused momentarily. Did you not express the desire to return? Lin Hui shook his head. No, I merely stated that we should not pursue. I never mentioned returning. Gao Sugi felt as though his mind was faltering. It seemed as if he could not comprehend human speech. The others were similarly perplexed, their expressions riddled with questions. Utterly at a loss for meaning. With neither a pursuit nor a retreat, what purpose did they serve here? Were they merely sightseeing? Zhang Jiantao, curious, inquired. Lin Hui, what are your thoughts? Please, do not keep them to yourself. Lin Hui, with a strategic demeanor, replied, We shall wait here. I am certain they will send reinforcements. Zhang Jiantao was momentarily taken aback, his eyes widening in disbelief. How is that possible? So many of them have perished, and we have inflicted such damage. Wouldn't sending more troops indicate a lack of sound judgment? Lin Hui, with a smile, responded, This operation must have been meticulously planned by the Monkey Nation for quite some time. From the initial infiltrators to the subsequent wave of attackers, it is evident that they are determined to seize this region. Furthermore, they have expended considerable resources to capture this mountain. It is inconceivable they would relinquish it so easily. In other words, if one intends to steal a chicken but ends up losing the rice, would they be content? Even if they cannot seize the chicken, they would still strive to recover the rice. A spark of understanding illuminated the others. Gao Sugi experienced a moment of clarity, realizing that although the Monkey Nation's plan had failed, as long as they held this mountain, they could continue to maneuver against Yin Nation. They could even devise new strategies. However, if they lost this territory, they would be rendered incapable of action for the next decade or two. Moreover, they would find themselves constrained and unable to act with impunity. Such a loss would be intolerable for them. Otherwise, they would have abandoned their efforts after the initial setback instead of resorting to military aggression. Gao Sugi, slapping Lin Hui on the shoulder, laughed heartily. Well done, my friend. No wonder you emerged from our border defense division. Your logical reasoning is impeccable, just like mine. Ha ha ha. The others rolled their eyes in exasperation. What was there to boast about? This was clearly Lin Hui's insight, yet Gao Sugi sought to claim credit for it. Zhang Jiantao, intrigued, asked, Lin Hui, what shall we do next? Lin Hui unfurled a map, and everyone gathered around with their flashlights. He pointed out several locations. Captain Gao, you will set up an ambush here, and at this position, waiting for them to arrive. Upon seeing the marked positions, the others' eyes widened in astonishment. Gao Sugi, feeling overwhelmed, interjected, Wait. Did you not just say that this area is riddled with tunnels? What if they emerge from behind us? Wouldn't that be playing into their hands and handing them our heads? Lin Hui regarded him with a reassuring smile. Comrade Captain, just follow my instructions as I have outlined, and I will take care of the rest. Gao Sugi furrowed his brow, still harboring doubts. He was well aware of the cunning nature of the monkey soldiers. If his estimations were incorrect, their previous advantages could vanish, potentially leading to their own annihilation. Observing his hesitation, Lin Hui smirked and remarked, Captain, if you truly lack the courage, why not let us lay the ambush while you handle our duties? Surely, that would suffice. Takasugi laughed heartily, masking his unease. What nonsense. How could we possibly be afraid? We shall proceed as you suggested. He promptly set off with his men, casting a fierce glare at Lin Hui before departing. This insolent brat, after such a brief separation, has become so audacious, even directing my actions with such ease. Yet, it matters not. As long as we can vanquish this band of rascals and maintain the peace and stability of our borders, I shall allow Lin Hui to lead. Once Takasugi and his group had departed, Lin Hui gathered his own team and swiftly ventured into the depths of the forest. The night enveloped the jungle in an eerie stillness, interrupted only by the hum of mosquitoes and the hurried footsteps of the group. Suddenly, Lin Hui halted, prompting all behind him to cease their advance. Suda furrowed his brow and inquired, "What is it, Lin Hui?" Lin Hui directed his flashlight towards a pile of decaying leaves and instructed his comrades to take their positions by a tree 50 meters away. Once they were in place, Lin Hui approached the leaves and stepped on them, producing a hollow sound beneath his feet. Eru. Upon hearing his name, Chun Eru scampered over, gun slung over his shoulder. "Brother Hui, what do you need?" Through the trials of battle, Chun Eru had matured significantly, revering Lin Hui as if he were a deity. Deeply impressed by his formidable training methods, lift the board and jump down. Chun Eru hesitated, crouching to knock on the surface before uncovering a dark hole beneath the leaves. Inside lay a narrow tunnel, seemingly endless. Chun Eru swallowed hard, fear gripping him. "Brother Hui, must I really go in? I've been afraid of the dark since childhood. What if there are snakes in there?" Wang Yong chuckled. "Eru, fear not. If you encounter a snake, just bring it out, and we shall have a feast. Should you face any foes, simply shout, and we will rush in to rescue you." Chun Eru felt tears welling up. "This space is so confined. By the time you arrive, I might be lost. Get in quickly, and stop with the nonsense," Lin Hui urged, giving him a swift kick that propelled him into the hole. Chun Eru crawled up from the pit, relying on his flashlight to illuminate his path, forcing himself to advance in a half-crouch position. The tunnel was exceedingly narrow, accommodating only one person, and the stench was unbearable. Summoning his courage, Chun Eru pressed on, reaching the end after what felt like an eternity. To his astonishment, he emerged from the very spot Lin Hui had assigned for guard duty. "Brother Hui, how did you discover this? It's so dark in the woods, I never noticed." Chun Eru exclaimed joyfully, emerging as if he had just slid down a thrilling slide. Filled with excitement, the others gazed at Lin Hui in astonishment. In such darkness, finding a tunnel was no small feat, and to realize it was connected was nothing short of miraculous. Lin Hui, with a smug expression, declared, "I only discovered this after meticulous observation. The monkey soldiers have this nature. Their burrows are essentially interconnected." In truth, he was merely boasting. Under the enhancement of the system, his eyes had now acquired the ability to penetrate the darkness akin to an owl. Thus, whether by day or night, nothing within the forest could escape his gaze. Subsequently, Lin Hui led them on a leisurely exploration through the woods, swiftly locating all the burrow positions of the monkey soldiers. After uncovering the last entrance, everyone felt utterly exhausted. Suda curiously inquired, "Now that we've found the burrows, what shall we do next?" Lin Hui grinned mischievously. "Of course, we shall use their own tactics against them. We will tread their path and leave them with no escape." Chapter 153. The Commander's Misery. Why must he be the bait again? At the border of Monkey Nation, at the headquarters, Commander Deng Taishan was so enraged that he nearly overturned the table. "Useless, a bunch of good-for-nothings," he bellowed, pointing at the disheveled Fan Wenhao. "You failed to reclaim the territory, and we've lost so many men. What have you been doing?" Fan Wenhao, drenched in spittle, felt utterly humiliated. "Commander, I did not anticipate that those Yen people would be so formidable. Their understanding of jungle warfare surpasses ours. When we ascend the trees, they wait. When we seek to camouflage for an ambush, they are right there, ready to strike." Silence. Deng Taishan's furious roar compelled him to lower his head, muttering, "I do not wish to hear you make excuses for your incompetence. When it comes to jungle combat, our monkey nation finds no rival globally. Yet you nearly faced annihilation at their hands. What a disgrace." He continued, "In other terrains, we may falter slightly, but the jungle is our domain. Once we enter the forest, there is no battle we cannot win." Fan Wenhao nodded, feeling the weight of the situation. He had previously shared this belief, yet for some inexplicable reason, the Yen forces they encountered this time proved to be exceptionally cunning. It was as if they possessed mind-reading abilities, anticipating every move they made, rendering them unable to strike or escape. However, at that moment, Fan Wenhao dared not voice his concerns. The commander was in a volatile state, and to provoke him further would lead to dire consequences for himself. Deng Taishan turned to his aide, speaking coldly, "Immediately notify all divisions to launch an assault. This time, I intend not only to reclaim our territory, but also to seize that opposing hilltop. It is imperative," he emphasized. "Only by occupying all the ground can we gradually encroach upon their domain and expand our territory." Understood. The orders were swiftly disseminated, and the troops mobilized without delay. Within the jungle, monkey soldiers surged forward densely, resembling a swarm of ants. Commander Deng Taishan personally led the charge, his eyes radiating both ferocity and confidence. "If even the elite American Special Forces cannot triumph in the jungle against us, what strength can a mere border force from Yen possess? This time, I will ensnare you all, making it clear just how formidable the monkey nation has become. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, a flurry of activity unfolded. The Tiger Brigade and the border guards resembled diligent farmers, swiftly setting traps under Lin Hui's leadership. Hurry up, move faster. Lin Hui clapped his hands. We must complete the trap setup before the monkey soldiers arrive. He dashed over to assist everyone in inspecting the traps, exclaiming, this won't do. It's far too simplistic. The monkey soldiers are experts of the jungle. Your traps are utterly ineffective, easily discernible. Eru, yours is no better. It looks as if a dog chewed it. Do you think those fellows are fools? Chun Eru scratched his head, uncertain of how to proceed. But I've always set them up this way. Setting traps is a delicate art. To create traps that are both intricate and cunning, while remaining undetectable, is quite a profound knowledge. Fortunately, Lin Hui's system had significantly enhanced his trap-making capabilities. Thus, he could effortlessly construct elaborate traps and easily discern the flaws in other setups. However, he recognized that the monkey soldiers would likely see through them as well, having grown up in this treacherous environment. The earlier ambush's success was largely due to the monkey soldiers underestimating them. Should they unleash their full potential, their tactics might prove ineffective. Without further ado, Lin Hui swiftly checked the traps once they were set, promptly addressing any issues he found. With a series of notifications, his trap-making ability advanced to a new level. Gao Shan brushed off the dirt from his hands and inquired, now that the traps are finished, what comes next? You may return, Lin Hui replied. Huh. Gao Shan appeared perplexed, filled with questions. You expect me to leave after working? Do you see me as free labor? He stared at Lin Hui in astonishment. What do you mean? Aren't the monkey soldiers preparing for a large-scale attack? You need more manpower, yet you want me to go back? Lin Hui chuckled, Captain. I'm not asking you to truly return. I merely want you to fall back and provide us with fire support. Prepare the artillery. I will provide you with the coordinates shortly, and you can fire accordingly. Gao Shan paused, his expression turning peculiar. You can't possibly intend to cover them with heavy fire. Can you? Lin Hui nodded. That is essentially the idea. Gao Shan was at a loss for words. What do you mean, essentially? Either it is, or it isn't. He immediately shook his head. That absolutely won't work. Those monkey soldiers will not foolishly gather in one place waiting for our artillery. They will undoubtedly scatter throughout the forest. Having dealt with monkey soldiers for years, we understand their cautious nature very well. Though we won through clever tactics previously, it does not imply their strength is weak. The monkey nation's special forces and guerrilla tactics are renowned for a reason. You know very well how many shells Sem fired in the forest during that battle without managing to eliminate them. Lin Hui chuckled softly. All right, Commander. Let us proceed as I suggested. You know that I never engage in battle unprepared. There is a reason for my request, which will become clear in due time. The others quickly rallied to persuade. Commander Gao, Lin Hui hails from your border defense and has previously served under your command. You must recognize his capabilities. Indeed, it was he who led us to vanquish numerous foes and safeguard our territory. Furthermore, those ruffians deserve their fate, even if artillery fire does not claim many lives. It will certainly instill a sense of dread, ensuring they think twice before making any rash moves. Gao Shan weighed the pros and cons in his mind. Ultimately, he chose to trust Lin Hui. This young man possesses a mind unlike any other, as evidenced by his recent tactical maneuvers. Since he urged me to take this course of action, it is evident that he has given it considerable thought. Moreover, at such a critical juncture, he would not act recklessly. Very well. Gao Shan nodded. I will return to prepare our men. You all must remain vigilant. With that, he swiftly retreated with his team. As soon as he departed, Lin Hui immediately divided his squad into two groups. He turned to the 2nd and 3rd Company commanders, instructing, You too. Return and seal those openings we uncovered, restoring them to their original state. Stand guard nearby, and prepare gasoline and long hoses. What are we preparing for? The 2nd and 3rd Company commanders were left perplexed. Lin Hui offered no explanation. Do not ask so many questions. You will understand soon enough. With a slight grimace, they promptly returned to commence their preparations. Zhang Jiantao, unable to contain his curiosity, inquired, What shall we do now? Lin Hui smiled gently. Just follow me. With a wave of his hand, he led the others onward. Before long, they surpassed the area where traps had been set, arriving at a slightly more open expanse. Finally, Lin Hui brought his group to a halt amidst a patch of grass by the roadside. Zhang Jiantao, panting, asked, Lin Hui, what is the plan? Please enlighten us. Why are we ambushing so far from the traps? Wasn't that effort in vain? Sudan nodded in agreement. Did you forget about the traps? Lin Hui, with a mischievous grin, replied, These monkeys have fallen for our ruse twice already. If we wish to ensnare them again, we must employ a different approach. What kind of different approach? The group turned their attention toward him in unison. Lin Hui smirked. I intend for you to act as bait. Zhang Jiantao's face instantly paled. Not again. I have already played the role of bait once. Have you forgotten? Lin Hui patted him on the back. To those who are capable, more is expected. Your previous performance as bait was commendable, which is why I am offering you this opportunity once more. Moreover, this time is markedly different. What difference? Zhang Jiantao's eyes widened in curiosity, resembling a child eager for answers. Lin Hui chuckled. Last time was merely a drill. At worst, you would have received a good beating. This time, however, it is for real. If things go awry, you might become a martyr. But fear not, once you are gone, I will promptly erect a grand marble monument in your honor, and during every festive season, I shall pay my respects. Zhang Jiantao nearly choked on his own blood. You scoundrel, are you truly wishing for my demise? Chapter 154, not an act, but a genuine struggle. Zhang Jiantao was on the verge of tears. Lin Hui, this isn't fair. I am your company commander, your dear company commander. Lin Hui grasped his hand firmly. Precisely because you are my esteemed company commander, I entrust this crucial mission to you. I would not feel secure if it were anyone else. Besides, you are not alone in this. Strictly speaking, everyone here serves as bait. Zhang Jiantao cast a despondent glance at those around him, feeling even more disheartened. But this is my second time. Isn't that splendid? Such invaluable experience is something most would yearn for, Lin Hui replied, wrapping his arm around Zhang Jiantao's shoulders, his demeanor resolute. Commander, I recall your words from our days in basic training. We serve to honor our country, to live gloriously, and to die honorably. Look, I am facilitating your ascent. Once you are gone, you shall be awarded first-class merit. As for your wife and children, oh, you are not married yet? That makes it even better. You have no burdens to worry about. Just go for it. Zhang Jiantao felt a pang of frustration welling up inside him. It wasn't that he was unwilling to be the bait. Rather, he believed Lin Hui was being rather unfair. Why was it always him called upon during such troublesome times? And now, to play the role of bait? The stakes were perilous. Chun Era chuckled. All right, Commander, we are right here with you. Wang Yong grinned mischievously. The brothers from the 6th Company are all present. Even if it comes to sacrifice, we shall not let you walk this path alone. We are one company, one regiment. If we must go, we go together, so we may have company on the journey to the netherworld. Hearing this, Zhang Jiantao felt somewhat comforted. Lin Hui patted his shoulder. Look at the resolve of everyone, old Zhang. You are a company commander. How can you lack such a sense of duty? Zhang Jiantao swatted his hand away, puffing up his cheeks in indignation. Did you just call me old Zhang? What a lack of respect. He huffed. Is it merely about being bait? I've done it before. As long as we can eliminate these pesky adversaries and ensure peace and security along our borders, I wouldn't hesitate to face any danger. All right, let's hear your plan. I know you would not send us to our doom without a strategy, he added. Lin Hui wore an exasperated expression, aware of the contradiction in Zhang Jiantao's demeanor. He gathered everyone close and began to speak softly. In a moment, you will lie in ambush on either side. Wait until they are almost upon us before striking. However, one crucial point. Do not unleash your full strength. Hold back a bit. Just exert about half of your usual power. Zhang Jiantao looked puzzled. Why is that? Shouldn't we go all out? The others mirrored his confusion, failing to comprehend the rationale behind such an approach. This territory was already the domain of the Yin nation. Encountering the enemy here naturally called for a decisive strike. Why hold back? Lin Hui chuckled. We are merely bait. Why unleash such ferocity? A slight exertion will suffice to make them think that we are just at this level. This way, they will lower their guard, believing victory has intoxicated us, and will pursue us like hounds. Beside him, Su Da's eyes sparkled with understanding. I see now. You intend to feign weakness, allowing the enemy to lower their guard, and then lead them into a trap. Precisely, Lin Hui nodded. These monkeys aren't fools. Having suffered losses twice, they will certainly be more astute this time. Thus, we must convincingly feign weakness. Only then will they recklessly pursue us, plunging headlong into our trap, leaving them without a grave. A chill breeze swept through, causing everyone to break into a cold sweat. Regardless of the adversary, encountering Lin Hui would spell disaster for them, especially for this group of monkeys. They could never fathom that we would employ such cunning tactics. However, they brought this upon themselves. After all, who invited this chaos into our territory? They deserve their fate. All right, everyone, disperse and prepare. Yes, they immediately scattered, taking cover in the forest. After such a lengthy period of collaboration, an unspoken understanding had formed among them. Sometimes, they didn't even need Lin Hui to issue commands. They instinctively knew what to do. Lin Hui, too, lay concealed in the grass, waiting patiently. At 4 a.m, the sky began to brighten. Suddenly, a series of footsteps echoed ahead. They have arrived. Lin Hui's gaze sharpened. All aimed their weapons forward, fingers poised on triggers. In the distance, a proud monkey battalion commander declared, these Yin Nation soldiers are doomed. They are undoubtedly reveling in their attempts to reclaim territory, completely oblivious to our substantial force advancing against them. Arrogance would dull their judgment, causing them to lose their sense of self. The nearby advisor sneered, "Today, we shall avenge our past humiliations. The commander has ordered that we capture these rascals and sever their heads. We must instill fear in them, making it clear that we bang." A sudden gunshot shattered the air. The advisor's head erupted in a spray of blood, his body propelled backward by the bullet's force. Crashing to the ground, the commander beside him was splattered with warm blood, the warmth obscuring his vision. Before he could comprehend the situation, a volley of gunfire erupted, and dozens of monkey soldiers fell instantly. Ambush! Enemy attack! Someone shouted hoarsely. All the monkey soldiers immediately dropped to the ground, some darting into the woods to escape the bullets. Zhang Jiantao, witnessing this from a distance, felt a surge of alarm. These fellows are indeed well trained. He shouted to those around him, "Be cautious. Fight if you can. Retreat if you cannot." At that moment, the monkeys did not falter in the face of the sudden attack. Rather, they began to utilize the terrain to mount a counteroffensive. Bang! 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 The foliage in the forest was sent flying as bullets rained down. The concentrated firepower left Zhang Jiantao unable to raise his head, forcing him to hunch over while occasionally firing back. Retreat! Lin Hui shed his camouflage, firing continuously at the enemy in the distance. Several shots found their mark on the enemy's heads, while others struck their shoulders or other parts of their bodies. Performing a complete act, the skill exhibited was so remarkable that others would inevitably discern the underlying tricks. Just as Lin Hui pivoted to retreat, the others swiftly bent down and dashed backwards. Feeling the bullets whizzing overhead, everyone's hearts raced with anxiety. This performance was alarmingly realistic, as if they were wagering their very lives. After retreating a considerable distance, they reformed their ranks to mount a counterattack, feigning a tenacious resistance, projecting an illusion of determination to fight the enemy to the bitter end. "Sir, we have encountered an ambush by the Yin troops ahead. They are already engaged with our forces," a monkey officer hurriedly reported to Commander Deng Taishan. Deng Taishan immediately inquired, "What is the situation?" The officer coldly replied, "Those ruffians initially managed to kill dozens of our men through surprise attacks. Once we regained our wits, however, they faltered and have been on the defensive, though they continue to fight back with surprising tenacity." Deng Taishan clenched his fists in excitement. "It seems they have been intoxicated by their earlier victories. How dare they attempt to toy with us in the woods, utterly oblivious to their impending doom. Relay my orders to accelerate the pursuit and eliminate every last one of them." Yes. Upon receiving the command, the monkey troops intensified their chase. Their formidable firepower, coupled with the tactical maneuvering through the jungle, left Zhang Jiantao and his comrades with no opportunity to counterattack. They could only flee as if their very lives depended on it, their feet nearly sparking from the friction. Lin Hui, tossing his rifle onto his back, sprinted through the forest. "Squad leader, your performance was commendable. Those monkey soldiers have completely fallen for it and are desperately chasing us." Zhang Jiantao was infuriated, nearly spitting blood. "Was that an act? We are genuinely outmatched. The sheer number of them, swarming like locusts, makes it impossible to prevail. Without heavy firepower, relying solely on our meager arms. If we wish to avoid a heroic sacrifice, we can only run for our lives." Swiftly, through their exceptional ruse, they successfully lured the pursuers into a trap-laden area. Each trap was familiar to them, and as they fled, they intentionally veered past the edges. "Don't let them escape." A throng of monkey soldiers fired ahead while relentlessly pursuing them. However, when they reached an open area, a sudden calamity struck. The seemingly level ground collapsed in a massive section. Several monkey soldiers, feeling as though they had stepped into thin air, plummeted into a deep pit. Seeing the pit, those behind hastily slammed to a stop, cautiously assessing their surroundings before inching closer. When they beheld the grim scene within the pit, their scalps tingled with dread, and they were instantly overcome with nausea, retching violently. Chapter 155. Defeating you with your own tactics. The pit before them was a staggering 2 meters deep, filled with sharpened bamboo stakes. 7 or 8 monkey soldiers, upon their sudden descent, were impaled by the vicious bamboo, their entrails torn asunder. 2 others suffered fatal wounds to their heads, rendered lifeless. A few fortunate souls managed to land on the edge of the trap, though they survived. They were grievously pierced in vital areas, writhing in agony and screaming in excruciating pain. Meanwhile, a similar scene unfolded in other parts of the forest. A group of monkey soldiers tracked down a dense thicket. Suddenly, one of them stumbled over an object underfoot. In the next moment, something erupted from the ground beneath them. "There are traps, dodge quickly." A monkey sergeant reacted with startling urgency. However, the speed at which the traps were triggered left them no time to think or react. Snap! The traps, resembling oversized hunting snares, ensnared them at the waist. The sharp spikes at the top brutally pierced their bodies, and the immense force even shattered their spines. "Help me, help me." These monkey soldiers, akin to mice caught in a giant clamp, spewed blood from their mouths. By the time their comrades managed to extricate them from the trap, they were rendered incapacitated, destined to either die or live the remainder of their lives as invalids. Concentrate fire, eliminate them. Elsewhere, several monkey soldiers relentlessly pursued Lin Hui and his companions. Bang, bang, bang. Bullets struck the trees, sending large splinters flying. Acutely aware of the whistling bullets whizzing past his ears, Lin Hui remained on high alert. A moment's carelessness could mean the end of his life. He shouted to his companions, "Leap over ahead." The others immediately understood, and as they approached, they leapt over in unison. However, the relentless pursuers failed to notice the transparent fishing line on the ground, tripping over it in an instant. The next moment, a deafening rush of wind filled the air. A torrential downpour of sharpened bamboo rained down mercilessly from above. Damn it! The monkey soldiers, witnessing the deluge of bamboo descending upon them, were left in shock, their pupils constricting as their jaws dropped in disbelief. The sounds of piercing filled the air. Under the force of gravity, these bamboo poles became lethal weapons, impaling the entire group into the ground. One unfortunate soldier, with his mouth agape, was skewered through the mouth at a sharp angle, driven mercilessly into the earth. Only one monkey soldier narrowly escaped, rolling and scrambling to the side, utterly terrified and soiled in fear. Commander Deng Taishan arrived shortly after, and upon witnessing this horrific scene, he gasped in alarm. Even he, in his naivete, began to grasp the gravity of the situation. They had been deceived. Deng Taishan's fist slammed into a tree in a fit of rage. "We've been duped. All of us tricked by these cunning Yen nationals. How dare they employ such despicable tactics against us? They had deliberately led them here, guiding them into traps." What infuriated him the most was not the wickedness of their tactics, but rather that the enemy had used the very strategies they had once employed against the Sam Special Forces. The traps in the forest and the initial tactics were all strategies they had utilized in the past, achieving remarkable success in real combat. These methods had been enshrined in their textbooks, a source of pride for their monkey nation. Yet now, these tactics were wielded with masterful precision by the Yen soldiers, delivering to them the most profound of blows. At this moment, Deng Taishan felt as if he had been dealt 2 resounding slaps and forced to swallow a mouthful of excrement. His eyes blazed with fury as he roared, "This despicable and shameless bunch, I shall make them pay dearly, and their commander too. Once I capture him, I will grind him to dust." In the distance, Lin Hui couldn't help but sneeze. Who could be thinking of me? He wondered aloud. Beside him, Zhang Jiantao chuckled. "Need you even ask? It must be their commander cursing you." Lin Hui dismissed this notion. "Why would he curse me? I delivered such a grand gift. He should be thanking me instead." Zhang Jiantao laughed heartily. "Upon receiving your gift, he likely wishes to scatter your ashes to the winds, using the tactical finesse that our country excels at. We shall leave them utterly defeated, feeling as humiliated as one can be. After years of warfare, they have certainly never encountered such insidious tactics." Lin Hui grinned mischievously. "Since you feel that way, shall I take you along to ensnare them once more?" Zhang Jiantao, increasingly captivated, wore a smile tinged with madness. "In this lifetime, this is our sole purpose. We must instill in them a lasting psychological scar. Those who dare frolic on our land must first consider whether they can survive." The others observed the commanding officer's demeanor with dismay. How is it that anyone associated with Lin Hui seems to descend into mischief? From Wang Yong and Chun Eru to Su De and now the commander, each one gradually veered towards a path of moral decay. One subordinate, anxious, inquired, "Commander, shall we pursue them?" Deng Taishan suppressed his anger. "Why would we not pursue? The very reason they resort to underhanded tricks and traps is that they have no reinforcements. If they did, they would simply break through our defenses and engage us directly." His subordinates nodded in agreement. There was indeed logic in his words. The more the adversary resorted to trickery, the clearer it became that their strength was lacking. "Then I shall issue orders to pursue at once." "Wait." Deng Taishan clenched his fists, asserting, "Did they not flee towards the mountains? We have excavated numerous tunnels in those mountains over the years. Now is the time to put them to use. Let our men swiftly enter the tunnels. We can navigate them far more quickly than they can. We shall encircle them from behind." Yes. With the command given, many soldiers swiftly located the pre-prepared tunnel entrances in the mountains. These passages had been excavated during their earlier infiltration, some extending for hundreds of meters and even traversing the entire mountain, resembling small-scale tunnels. If they reached the opposite side first and set up an ambush, the enemy would be walking into a trap. In the past, they had relied on these tunnels to engage in guerrilla warfare against the well-equipped special forces of Sam, ultimately achieving a miraculous victory. For a significant period, the tunnel warfare tactics became a nightmare for their adversaries. Many soldiers were even reluctant to enter the woods, fearing that a soldier from their ranks might suddenly emerge from the shadows to deliver a fatal blow. The narrowness of the passages allowed only one person to pass through at a time. Even if the enemy discovers the entrance, it will be of no consequence. Deng Taishan observed his subordinates, who scurried like mice, queuing to enter the hole, his face radiating confidence. Even Sam would falter before the tunneling strategy. These fellows are certainly no match. Meanwhile, Lin Hui and his team swiftly navigated through the forest. A group of them grinning mischievously as they awaited their arrival at the entrance of the opposing tunnel. Chapter 156. Have you arrived, brother? Lin Hui's men stood guard outside the tunnel, while Zhang Jiantao crouched on the ground, staring intently at the entrance, occasionally gesturing with his hands. This doesn't seem right. Suda, observing him, inquired, "What is the matter, Captain?" Zhang Jiantao rose, turning to Lin Hui, asking, "Lin Hui, such a small opening. If we lie in ambush outside, we can hardly take down a few of them, can we? The people inside are not fools. Upon hearing gunfire outside, they will surely retreat." Suda also grasped the situation. Indeed, the passage is winding. Even if we manage to extend a gun barrel inside, we could at most eliminate 4 or 5, which would hardly make a difference. Others' faces fell, contemplating the plan. While the idea was commendable, its execution appeared grim. This issue had indeed eluded their prior consideration. They spoke of an ambush, yet the entrance was so diminutive that only one soldier could emerge at a time. The opposition was not naive. They would not line up to be taken down one by one. Suda sighed. "It seems we have underestimated the situation." Zhang Jiantao lamented, pounding his chest. "I thought we could truly catch them off guard. What a pity. It's all because of this damned narrow, elongated hole. If they remain hidden inside, we have no recourse." Lin Hui chuckled. "Who says we are without options?" Zhang Jiantao rolled his eyes at him. "What? Do you plan to make them line up to be attacked?" Lin Hui shook his finger. "Why must they come out? It would be better for them to stay inside." The third company commander arrived, hurrying from behind, one hand carrying a gasoline canister and the other grasping a lengthy hose. As he placed the items on the ground, everyone turned to Lin Hui with puzzled expressions. Zhang Jiantao could not help but ask, "Lin Hui, what scheme do you have in mind this time? You're not planning to suck the air out and suffocate them inside, are you?" Lin Hui smiled and said, "Have you heard of a dish called family-style roasted field mouse?" Zhang Jiantao was rendered speechless. Even now, he was thinking about food? Lin Hui did not elaborate, but instructed the company commander to gradually extend the hose into the tunnel. The tunnel was deep. Even a hose of over 100 meters failed to reach the end. Upon realizing it seemed insufficiently long, the third company commander looked up, blinking. Lin Hui waved his hand dismissively. "No matter, it will suffice. Pour in the gasoline." "Understood." The third company commander picked up the gasoline can, magically producing a funnel from his pocket, which he fitted onto the hose. He then began to cautiously pour gasoline into the tube. "Wow." Wang Yong leaped up in excitement. "Brother Hui, I get it now? No wonder it's called family-style roasted field mouse. You're planning to braise them." Shin Eru was utterly impressed. "Oh my goodness, it must be you, Brother Hui. You've taken all the bamboo shoots from the mountain. If a fire were to break out in this narrow cave, it would be filled with old acquaintances." The others pounded their thighs, their eyes sparkling with excitement. When it came to cunning tactics, Lin Hui was the master. The monkey soldiers were not merely kicking steel plates. They were up against alloy armor. In such a constricted passage, a fire would render them helpless, with no way to call for aid, leading to a suffocating demise. Though the method was ruthless. They were enemies, after all. It serves them right. Lin Hui chuckled mischievously. "Send the orders down. Every cave must be fitted with hoses and filled with gasoline. These rascals enjoy digging in our territory, so let us ensure they never emerge." Without hesitation, commands were relayed through the walkie-talkies. The group, grinning with anticipation, slowly inserted the pre-prepared hoses into the cave. They proceeded cautiously, fearing the hoses might become blocked, which would hinder the gasoline from being poured in. After all, one would want a satisfying roast of the field mice. Once the hoses were properly positioned, they swiftly attached funnels and began pouring gasoline. Meanwhile, in the dimly lit, cramped passage, a troop of monkey soldiers advanced in a crouched position, resembling a line of dominoes. Some knelt on the ground, crawling forward like human centipedes, their eyes fixed on the rear of the soldier ahead. The passageways varied in design, the most conventional being a single line connecting both ends. More intricate were the three-way and four-way intersections, and even several tunnels interconnected, creating a labyrinthine network. Without knowledge of the paths, one could easily become lost for days. During previous conflicts, the monkey soldiers utilized these extensive underground tunnels to evade numerous bombings by SAM. Like moles, they would huddle underground, waiting for the enemy to pass, then emerge for a lethal strike. The reputation of the Monkey Nation's special forces was forged during this time, becoming a nightmare for Sam's soldiers. Today, they had perfected this tactic, making victory over the Yen people seem effortless, like plucking fruit from a tree. Just then, one monkey halted abruptly. The others behind him piled up like toothpaste being squeezed from a tube. Why have you stopped? They impatiently asked. The one in front felt something soft on the ground. Puzzled, I think I've touched something soft and long. Not sure what it is. Perhaps a small snake or worm. Forget about it. Let us move quickly. If we dawdle, those slowpokes will get ahead of us. The others urged. The halted soldier felt compelled to comply, although he suspected the object beneath him was neither snake nor worm. Duty called, and he had no choice but to push forward. The passage, stretching over 100 meters, was packed with at least 200 individuals, tightly pressed together like sausages. Only when those in front began to exit could the ones behind take their turn. Do you smell something strange? The monkey soldier in front twitched his nose, crawling forward while inquiring. The individuals behind him expressed their impatience. Can you refrain from idle chatter? The tunnel is so narrow. Naturally, it lacks ventilation. With so many of us squeezed in here, isn't it expected that there would be a smell? Oh, indeed. The fellow promptly ceased his musings and continued to crawl forward. Soon, he discerned a faint glimmer of light ahead. At last, he exerted himself to push aside the cover above and stood up, taking a deep breath. However, the next moment, his expression froze. Surrounding the tunnel's opening was a group of people, all grinning with the most lascivious expressions imaginable. Welcome, little brother. Lin Hui greeted him with a mischievous grin. The poor fellow nearly soiled himself and hurriedly attempted to retreat back into the tunnel. Yet, before he could descend, 2 or 3 individuals below propelled him upward like mushrooms. The newcomers, upon seeing Lin Hui and his companions, were nearly paralyzed with fear. We've fallen into a trap. A trap has been set for us. This band of Yin Nation individuals had long since discovered their tunneling efforts and lay in wait, chattering away in a language Lin Hui could hardly comprehend. He simply smiled and commanded, fire. Every individual pulled the trigger simultaneously. The bullets instantly transformed the monkey soldiers into a veritable hive of chaos. In the tunnel, those preparing to emerge were startled by the sounds of gunfire and the ensuing cries, their hearts racing with trepidation. What is happening? Why is there gunfire outside? Chapter 157. The monkey commander's fury. Never before witnessed such deceit. The gunfire outside came to an abrupt halt. The monkey soldier hidden at the tunnel's mouth suddenly felt a warm sensation on his face. Wiping his hand across it, he was met with a vivid splash of crimson. Blood, it was blood. The monkey soldier's pupils dilated in terror as he braced himself against the wall, legs propelling him forward in a frantic retreat. The others, sensing the peril, joined him in a desperate scramble backward. Despite their utmost efforts, it was futile. The tunnel had become completely obstructed, with many oblivious monkey soldiers squeezing in like sausages. This resulted in the already stifling passage becoming even more congested. These monkey soldiers found themselves trapped, akin to foreign objects lodged in a blocked drain, unable to enter or exit. Retreat. This is a trap. You're trying to kill me, cried the few monkey soldiers at the tunnel's entrance in despair. Yet the clamor from behind left them in confusion, pushing them further forward instead. Above the tunnel, Lin Hui observed the distorted faces of fear below and couldn't help but shake his head. Since you've come this far, isn't it reasonable to leave your life behind? Fire. Wang Yong and Chun Eru approached with light machine guns in hand, grinning. They thrust the cold barrels into the tunnel, pressing them against the body of the foremost individual. The man trembled in terror, losing control of his bodily functions. Don't kill me, please, don't. In the next instant, the horrifying sound of gunfire erupted. At that moment, a light machine gun's barrel extended down into the tunnel, unleashing 2 bullets that tore through the unfortunate soul's body. Though the force of the bullets was somewhat diminished, the power of the light machine gun remained undeniably formidable. A bullet struck down one individual, continuing its trajectory to claim another. It wasn't until 3 lives were extinguished that the onslaught finally ceased. The rhythmic sound of gunfire echoed, 2 light machine guns oscillating like a stirring rod at the cave's entrance. This maneuver ensured that bullets could bypass the fallen bodies in front, reaching and targeting more victims behind. An anguished cacophony filled the cave, with flesh and blood swirling chaotically. The furious barrage of gunfire transformed the clustered figures at the entrance into a grotesque spectacle, leaving them mangled and unrecognizable. Beyond that, the passage turned, obstructing further shots. The soldiers hiding around the corner, paralyzed by fear, were left trembling. What is happening? Bellowed a furious monkey sergeant from the center. Why are there gunshots ahead? The soldiers in front shook their heads in confusion, uncertain. The tunnel is too long. We can only relay messages one by one. Soon, the news reached the sergeant, and upon learning the situation, his anger nearly consumed him. Damn it, those bastards from Yin Nation have arrived outside the cave before us. How did they discover our hideout? Why are they faster than us in tunneling? Commander, what should we do now? What can we do? Our plans are exposed, and there must be a host of ambushers outside. Venturing out would be akin to walking into a trap. The sergeant shouted, retreat, everyone. Fall back, quickly. His command proved effective. Under his guidance, the congestion within the tunnel began to ease slightly. The soldiers started to shuffle backward, albeit slowly. The lack of light meant that a single misstep could lead to tripping over one another, resulting in a painfully slow retreat. Brother Hui, is there no movement inside? Wang Yong inquired, standing up. They probably realized we are lying in wait and are beginning to withdraw. Lin Hui replied with a slight smile. Isn't it delightful to have friends come from afar? Just a moment ago, we treated them to some peanuts. Are they leaving before they are fully satisfied? It would make us appear rather stingy. What about the hearty dishes? We must serve them something substantial. Lin Hui laughed heartily. We must ensure the monkeys feel our warm hospitality. Never mind, I shall take charge of the kitchen, he declared, picking up a gasoline can from the ground, pouring its remaining contents into the tunnel. Earlier, he had been cautious not to spill too much for fear of arousing suspicion. Now, with the chaos of their hurried retreat, they had forgotten all caution. Moreover, after the recent fright, many of the soldiers within likely soiled themselves. Who would notice the smell of gasoline? With a determined action, Lin Hui poured an entire barrel of gasoline into the tunnel. He then struck a match and inserted it into the tube. Meanwhile, the monkey sergeant, methodically retreating, felt something damp and sticky on the ground. What is this? It feels slimy. He brought it to his nose, and his expression changed drastically. Damn it, this is gasoline. Those bastards are going to burn us alive. Withdraw, quickly withdraw. The command barely left his lips when a deafening roar erupted. A massive blaze illuminated the scene, revealing a colossal fire dragon surging forth with an unparalleled intensity. In the next instant, the entire corridor was engulfed in flames. Hundreds of monkey soldiers within were consumed by the inferno, their anguished cries piercing the air. Lin Hui stood at the entrance, hands tucked into his pockets, observing their frantic joy as they screamed with abandon. The others nodded in agreement. They must be overwhelmed by our fervor, reveling in the warmth of our hospitality. There was not a shred of sympathy for the scorched monkey soldiers within the corridor, only a palpable sense of derision. In the theater of war, it was a matter of survival. Either they perish or we do. If one does not exhibit sufficient ruthlessness towards the enemy, it is one's own kin who shall pay the price. Moreover, the enemy had audaciously invaded their territory, leaving destruction in their wake. It was not merely a matter of retaliation. They deserved to be utterly annihilated. What has transpired? Commander Deng Taishan felt a jolt of alarm as he noticed thick black smoke billowing from the jungle. In a flurry, a sooty-faced officer stumbled forth, breathless, to report, Sir, we have been ambushed. Many have perished. Deng Taishan's pupils constricted in disbelief. What exactly happened? The officer hastily recounted the situation within the cave, and upon hearing it, Deng Taishan's heart ached with fury. Beasts! How could they devise such a nefarious scheme against us? The people of the Flame Nation were nothing short of savages, utterly devoid of humanitarian spirit. In that moment, consumed by rage, he forgot that they were the aggressors, and Lin Hui and his comrades were merely retaliating. The jungle was thick with the acrid smoke of the fallen monkey soldiers, their souls crying out for justice. Trembling, Deng Taishan murmured, we spent years infiltrating this place, carving out so many tunnels in the mountains, only to have our own bodies used to seal them. The commander on the other side is truly cunning. I underestimated them. They are unlike any border troops we have encountered before. They are the most devious and malevolent adversaries I have ever seen. One of his subordinates, his eyes glistening with unshed tears, implored, Sir, we cannot let this go unpunished. So many innocents have perished. They must pay the price. Others echoed his sentiment with indignation. They must face justice for their blood debts, ensuring they have no resting place in death. Especially that vile commander who devised such a malicious plot. He must be skinned alive. Let us sever his head and display it upon a tree to appease the countless souls lost. Deng Taishan closed his eyes for a moment, trembling uncontrollably before finally opening them. We underestimated them, which led to our painful losses. These individuals possess jungle combat experience that rivals our own. Our strengths mean nothing before them. Thus, I have resolved to abandon our infiltration strategy and concentrate our forces for a direct confrontation. We must annihilate them completely before their reinforcements arrive. His eyes blazed with fierce anger. Our people cannot have died in vain. We must reclaim our territory entirely. Only then can we claim a semblance of victory. Relay my orders. The entire army shall regroup and prepare for an assault. Yes. Chapter 158, It Matters Not. Let the enemy loathe us to the core. Swish, swish, swish. In every corner of the jungle, the monkey soldiers, upon receiving the command, swiftly dashed towards a single direction, rapidly assembling. An aura of deadly intent enveloped them, their eyes ablaze with fury, particularly those who had narrowly escaped from the caverns, filled with an insatiable desire to devour the enemy whole, as if that alone could quench their wrath. They had witnessed treachery and cunning, but never had they encountered such audacity. In the past, during their own nation's battles, they had resorted to guerrilla tactics, burrowing into the earth and climbing trees to torment their adversaries, depriving them of rest and instilling nightmares. That conflict had become the proudest and most renowned chapter in the history of the Monkey Kingdom. Yet now, their own strategies had been wielded against them by the people of the Flame Nation, taken to an extreme, leaving them feeling both humiliated and distressed. In their desire to confront the enemy, they found only evasion, as if their fists struck nothing but cotton. Each soldier harbored a tempest of rage, ready to erupt at any moment. Advanced the entire army. The formation swiftly split into cohesive units, marching forward with formidable resolve. Gazing at the dark mass of enemies ahead, Deng Taishan clenched his fists, confidence radiating from his eyes. Since you excel in jungle warfare, I shall not grant you your wish. As long as we reclaim our territory, your efforts will be futile. He had discerned that a portion of reinforcements had arrived for the adversary, but their numbers were limited to no more than 2 regiments. Outnumbered and outmatched in combat capability, the enemy could not engage in deception or ambush against them. Thus, Deng Taishan's objective was clear: consolidate their forces and advance. In doing so, the enemy's guerrilla tactics would prove ineffective. Their ultimate goal was not merely to battle the soldiers of the Flame Nation, but to seize the land itself. Although they had suffered some losses due to negligence, their foundation remained unscathed. If they could occupy the territory before the main force of the Flame Nation arrived, the Monkey Kingdom would emerge victorious once more. As for the enemy, if they dared to approach, they would swiftly be annihilated. A cold smirk curled at the corners of Deng Taishan's lips. A division against 2 regiments. The advantage remains with me. 2 kilometers away, on the mountainside, Zhang Jiantao peered through his binoculars at the dense mass below, taking a sharp breath. My goodness, these fellows are truly desperate, consolidating all their forces. Do they intend to confront us head-on? Lin Hui chuckled and replied, we are merely a secondary target. Their true objective lies with those 2 mountain peaks. What? The expressions of the others shifted instantaneously. Originally, they had hoped to incite some enmity, but to their astonishment, the enemy's aim was not them at all, but rather the occupation of the 2 mountains. No wonder a division had been deployed. They were prepared for a forceful armed takeover. Suda felt a sense of urgency. Lin Hui, we must devise a strategy. We cannot allow them to succeed. If we lose this region, the surrounding populace will be in grave danger. Lin Hui responded with an air of calmness. Do not worry, we won't lose it. Suda, intrigued, inquired, what is your plan? To retreat, came the response. The group appeared stunned, nearly believing they had misheard. Suda was left speechless. Is this truly your plan? Zhang Jiantao, equally anxious, exclaimed, Lin Hui, what a terrible idea. If we retreat, they will easily seize this area. Others expressed their outrage, their emotions running high. This is our land. We cannot relinquish an inch. Even if it means fighting to the last bullet, we shall not let them cross. When the bullets are spent, we will fight with knives. When the knives are dull, we will bite. We shall never allow them to prevail. We are the nation's first line of defense. We cannot falter. Lin Hui gazed at his comrades, deeply moved by their indomitable spirit. This was why he cherished the military, a group of pure-hearted individuals, willing to sacrifice their lives for an untainted belief and purpose. He smiled, clarifying, what I meant earlier was not entirely accurate. My plan is a strategic retreat. The group nearly choked in disbelief. Was that not the same thing? Lin Hui, with a serious demeanor, insisted, I brought you out here, and I must ensure your safe return. The enemy outnumbers us by several folds. Even if we were to sacrifice lives, it would be futile. Silence enveloped the group. They all understood that a direct confrontation was akin to an egg striking a rock. How could a regiment contend with a division? Even if they summoned reinforcements, it would be of no avail. The disparity in strength was too great. Their recent ambush may have seemed effective, but it had not truly harmed the enemy's foundation. Moreover, the enemy was aware of their smaller numbers and expertise in guerrilla tactics, thus concentrating their forces to crush them without offering any chances. Lin Hui stated firmly, I can assure you, with my uniform, that we shall not lose an inch of our land. He then revealed a mischievous smile, adding, furthermore, I have prepared a grand surprise for them. Now, inform everyone to retreat immediately. Observing the smile on Lin Hui's face, a sense of apprehension washed over the group. For some reason, each time they saw that smile, they felt an inexplicable surge of confidence, knowing that Lin Hui was about to pull a clever trick. They glanced at one another, quickly deciding not to dwell on it any longer, and promptly relayed the order for everyone to assemble for retreat. In the woods, a major monkey swiftly approached the off-road vehicle, reporting to Colonel Deng Taishan, Sir, scouts have reported that the enemy is regrouping and beginning a rapid withdrawal. It seems they do not dare to engage us. Deng Taishan laughed heartily. 2 regiments against 1 division. If they don't retreat, they must be out of their minds. Relay the order to accelerate our advance. We must secure this area within 5 hours. Yes, sir. As the major turned to leave, he was called back. Wait. Just to be safe, send out additional scouts. The adversary is exceedingly cunning. Vigilance must be heightened to prevent their flanking maneuvers and harassment upon us. The major nodded. Yet internally, he harbored some skepticism. Their side had coalesced into a formidable fist, poised to deliver a crushing blow. The defenses along the border of the Yin Kingdom were so feeble. What could they possibly employ for resistance? Those underhanded tactics and disturbances were akin to the irritation of mosquitoes, utterly ineffective. He sighed inwardly, realizing that the commander seemed frightened by such measures. Nevertheless, as a subordinate, he dutifully relayed the orders. The entire army hastened their march, swiftly surpassing the hill they had previously occupied. They were about to traverse the valley, continuing their advance towards Area 328. From the hillside in the distance, Lin Hui cautiously peered from the underbrush, glancing about. He then retreated, grasping his radio. Commander, are you prepared on your end? On the other side, Takasugi chuckled. I've been ready for quite some time, ensuring there's enough for those scoundrels to drink deep. He jested. I truly did not expect, after just a year apart, that you would become so unscrupulous, devising such underhanded tactics like smoke and fire. You've earned the enmity of the border defense, and now you've drawn the ire of the enemy. I warned you against going to 602. That atmosphere is detrimental. The nearby company commanders from 602 nearly choked on their indignation. Thankfully, neither the division commander nor the regiment commander was present. Otherwise, they might have exploded with fury. Their 602 unit had always been characterized by its simplicity and positivity, only straying from this path since Lin Hui's arrival. However, in warfare, deception is paramount. The darker the tactic, the more effective it tends to be. This principle had been amply demonstrated in several drills and the recent combat engagement. Lin Hui cheerfully remarked. To incite such hatred in the enemy is indeed a skill. It indicates that our tactics are functioning effectively. However, I wish for them to despise me even more. Chapter 159. The Ordeal of Cannon Fire. The enemy's nightmare begins. Once the communication ended, Takasugi tossed the walkie-talkie aside. With his hands clasped behind his back, he approached the front of the formation, proclaiming loudly, You are all aware of the coordinates, correct? Affirmative. Takasugi nodded approvingly. Excellent. In a moment, I want all artillery directed towards the valley. Upon my command, commence fire. Do not skimp on ammunition. We do not lack for it. Fire with abandon. Ideally, I want that area thoroughly plowed. Understood. All artillerymen roared in response, their eyes gleaming with excitement. Takasugi turned to gaze towards the valley, grinning as he mused. Encountering an opponent like Lin Hui is truly a nightmare for your entire lives. But it is deserved. In the valley, Major Ho swiftly approached Deng Taishan to report, Commander, crossing the valley leads directly to Area 328. Deng Taishan inquired, Have you detected any sign of those fellows? None. Major Ho shook his head. I have dispatched scouts. Yet not the slightest trace has been found. It appears they have genuinely retreated. Deng Taishan smiled slightly. Ultimately, these individuals are merely scattered marauders, capable of causing disruption and harassment, but they are no match in a direct confrontation. All right, notify everyone to prepare for battle in advance. The opposition will not allow us to pass so easily. I know them well. They will undoubtedly resist fiercely. Major Monkey nodded, acknowledging that this was indeed their style. However, our strength is far greater. Even if we engage in a head-on clash, we remain unperturbed. This territory shall be secured. Soon, all the monkeys entered a state of alert, ready for combat at any moment. Yet, they remained unaware that, a few kilometers away, a pair of eyes coldly observed them from the mountainside. This river valley was long enough to conceal the entire opposing force. Once the monkeys had fully entered the valley, Lin Hui picked up the radio, chuckling coldly, and said, Let us strike hard. Don't let them think we can't afford ammunition. Rest assured, we have plenty. Takasugi put away the radio, his aura more formidable than ever. He bellowed to all the artillerymen, Fire with all your might. In the next moment, the cannons roared in unison. Shells descended like meteorites from the sky. The valley was instantly engulfed in flames, and debris flew everywhere. The monkeys, caught completely off guard, suffered heavy casualties. The jeep came to a screeching halt. Deng Taishan gazed at the soaring flames, his jaw dropping in disbelief. What in the world is happening? The major rushed over, bending low, and shouted anxiously, Sir, we've been ambushed. It's a trap, a trap. Watching the relentless rain of shells above, Deng Taishan's mind buzzed. In that moment, his brain burned with realization. They had fallen into a trap. This was an intricate scheme. The enemy had deliberately provoked them to incite anger, making them aware of their numerical disadvantage and their expertise in jungle warfare. They had lured them to gather their forces, allowing for concentrated firepower to maximize the impact of their artillery. Deng Taishan felt as though his head might explode. He slumped in his chair, Horrified, this opponent is terrifying. Who is their commander? What kind of genius has calculated every step? The major was on the verge of panic. Sir, now is not the time for this. We must escape. No sooner had he spoken than the heavens unleashed another barrage of shells. Boom, boom. The violent explosions echoed throughout the valley, leaving behind a scene of shattered bodies. In just a short time, they had lost over half their forces. Deng Taishan, trembling with fear, felt his legs weaken, his limbs powerless, lacking even the strength to push the door open. At that moment, a shell landed near the vehicle. This is bad. The major's pupils constricted as he attempted to pull open the door to seek refuge inside. But to his dismay, the door wouldn't budge. Boom. The tremendous force surged forth. The major was struck by high-velocity shrapnel, tearing through his abdomen and sending him flying. The jeep, reinforced with bulletproof armor, was not penetrated directly. Instead, it was lifted by the shockwave, rolling several times before crashing to the ground. Deng Taishan, bloodied and bruised, was driven by his will to survive as he struggled to crawl out. The chief of staff beside him hastily pulled him down, urging him to sprint backward and take refuge behind a large rock. Commander, are you all right? Deng Taishan's vision was engulfed in a crimson haze, his head buzzing incessantly. After a considerable time, he finally regained his composure. What is the situation now? The chief of staff, stricken with grief, lamented, the enemy has shown no honor, bombarding the entire valley. We have already lost more than 2/3 of our forces. Deng Taishan trembled all over, his heart bleeding. 2/3, just like that. In the blink of an eye, so many lives extinguished. The toll was unbearably tragic. Gazing at the relentless artillery raining down into the valley, Deng Taishan understood that the enemy was determined to annihilate everyone. He had no more cards to play. Retreat was his only option. Retreat. Deng Taishan managed to utter with great difficulty. We must pull back quickly. We cannot afford to hand over more lives to the enemy. There was no need for further discussion. At that moment, the soldiers were utterly terrified, fleeing with wild abandon, wishing they had been endowed with more legs. Their disarray resembled that of a cornered creature, desperate for survival. Takasugi, standing at a distance with binoculars, could hardly contain his glee. Now that they have come, they wish to leave. Adjust the coordinates, shift back 100 to 500 meters from the previous position, and let loose all the ammunition. Not a single round should remain. Yes, another barrage erupted. The forests at the edge of the valley suffered dreadful devastation. The most pitiable were the frantic enemies within, each one terrified beyond measure, fleeing with all their might. Out of an entire division, only about 40 to 50, including Deng Taishan, managed to escape. Among them were several who had sustained internal injuries from the shockwaves of the shells. Even if they returned, their survival would be short-lived. On the mountainside, the members of the Tiger Brigade were jubilantly celebrating, nearly cracking open beers in triumph. What a thrill! They were determined to make these enemies realize their formidable prowess. This time, they had instilled a lasting psychological scar upon them. The adage proved true. Truth lies within the range of artillery. Zhang Jiantao pounded Lin Hui on the chest, exclaiming, "Well done. You should have informed us of this plan earlier. We worried for nothing." Lin Hui chuckled. It's never too late to learn. Nearby, Li Guotao was in awe of Lin Hui, recognizing why this young lieutenant could command an entire brigade. With his tactical acumen, he could surely handle a division. He smiled and said, "The enemy has retreated. They likely won't dare to return. Shall we withdraw?" Lin Hui shook his finger, smiling brightly. "This matter is far from over. We must embody the spirit of our esteemed predecessors and uphold our noble traditions." Everyone turned to him in unison, their lips twitching in disbelief. Having already reduced the enemy to this state, it was not yet over? This was truly a matter of rooting out the problem entirely. Chapter 160. Shall we break their legs or take their lives? In the reception room, Deng Taishan sat on the sofa, looking disheveled and defeated. On his face, legs, and arms, bruises marred his skin, and he bore injuries all over. His clothes were tattered and ragged, resembling those of a beggar, with stains of red and black marring certain areas. Just then, the door swung open abruptly, and a stern-faced white-haired Major General strode in with an air of authority. Deng Taishan hastily rose, trembling as he saluted. "Greetings, Commander." The Major General glared at him fiercely, his voice laced with anger. "What is good about this? I am currently in an exceedingly dire state." He paced the office, his nostrils flaring with frustration. "I simply cannot fathom how this happened. With such formidable opponents. How could you end up in such a state? Wasn't jungle warfare our forte? How could we be defeated in the very environment we excel in?" Deng Taishan, his face drawn with despair, replied, "Commander, the enemy was far too cunning. Their jungle tactics surpassed ours by leaps and bounds, as if they had been raised in the forest. And their commander is nothing short of a cunning fiend. From the very beginning, he laid traps for us. And when we were preoccupied, he set fire to our positions with gasoline. utterly despicable. The major general turned sharply, slamming his palm against the table, cursing vehemently. What use is your lamenting now? Warfare relies on strategy and cunning. Defeat is defeat. In the past, we could not best them. And now we are still ground beneath their heel. With a disparity in forces so vast, they have left you in tatters. Thousands of our men, reduced to mere dozens. Half suffering from concussions, the other half permanently deafened. What kind of commander are you? Deng Taishan's face flushed crimson, a torrent of frustration boiling within him. To face such an adversary was indeed a stroke of misfortune. He lamented, Commander, in the past, regardless of our blunders, the enemy engaged in minor skirmishes, never taking us seriously. This time, it seems, they have sent a formidable contingent. The major general scoffed, isn't it obvious? Deng Taishan shook his head, perplexed. The white-haired general sighed. No wonder we fell to them. You cannot even perceive this. The limits of human patience are finite, especially when it concerns that great dragon. Previously, we engaged in trivial disputes. Thus they refrained from severing ties with us. However, this large-scale infiltration has crossed their threshold. Who extracts a decayed tooth the moment it appears? It is always allowed to fester before being eradicated. Deng Taishan suddenly grasped the implication. You mean, they are serious about completely eradicating us? He recalled the horrifying scene in the valley, a chill running down his spine. No wonder they are so ruthless this time. Their artillery seems to be limitless, aimed at our total annihilation. But will they pursue us? The major general sighed, shaking his head. There is a possibility, yet it is not an easy endeavor. From now on, let this matter remain unspoken, as if it never occurred. Moreover, we shall relinquish the territory we previously occupied and return it to them. We shall accept this defeat with grace. Observing our stance, they are likely to refrain from further inquiry. He cast a glance at Deng Taishan, furious at his lack of ambition. Just look at you. Why must you charge headlong? If we had adhered to our original plan and gradually encroached, in 5 or 10 years that region would still be ours. Now, with this reckless move, we find ourselves suffering losses on all fronts. When the higher-ups lay the blame, I want to be able to protect you. Deng Taishan was utterly alarmed, cold sweat streaming down his back. Before leaving, the general cast a glance at him and coldly remarked, for your own safety, it would be prudent for you to remain here for the time being. Do not venture anywhere. Furthermore, someone will come to speak with you in a few days. Remember, do not attempt to fabricate lies. Those who arrive are not individuals I can contend with. If you lie, your fate will be far worse. With a resounding bang, the conference room door slammed shut. Deng Taishan felt as though his very bones had been extracted, collapsing onto the sofa. Regret gnawed at him intensely. If only he had exercised caution when Fan Wenhao and the others returned and called off the operation. They would not have lost their territory. The plan would not have failed, and so many lives would not have been lost. Now, he finally comprehended why they had been defeated back then. The adversary's strength was far beyond their imagination. Over the years, they had evolved to a height that was unattainable. One could only gaze up in awe. The Yin nation. Forever an unassailable foe. Meanwhile, in the monkey territory, amidst a lush, verdant jungle, Lin Hui peered cautiously from behind a tree, surveying the area to ensure it was clear before stealthily retreating. Wang Yong, unable to contain his curiosity, patted him on the back and inquired, Brother Hui, what exactly are we doing in this godforsaken place? It's far inferior to where we come from, stifling and hot. Chen Eru, while smearing mud on his face, nodded in agreement. The mosquitoes here are particularly unfriendly, launching relentless attacks on my thighs. Thankfully, I managed to shield myself in time, or it would have been disastrous. Brother Hui, why don't we just head back? Lin Hui, with a cheerful smile, replied, now that we've come, why return so soon? Consider it a sightseeing trip. The two exchanged incredulous glances. Sightseeing? In this impoverished and inhospitable land, what was there to see? In a place no larger than a palm, one could traverse from south to north in a matter of moments. The others, equally curious, pressed Lin Hui, what is your plan? Hurry up and tell us. We've risked our lives to join you. Just instruct us on what to do, and we shall follow your lead. Lin Hui beckoned to several squad leaders. Wang Yong, Chen Eru, and Suda quickly gathered around. Lin Hui huddled them together and quietly stated, those rascals are causing havoc in our territory, digging tunnels, and attempting to seize our land. Shouldn't we teach them a lesson? Zhang Jiantao tilted his head in confusion. Haven't we already done that? The others nodded in agreement. Yes, we've driven them away so thoroughly that they likely carry psychological scars for life. Isn't that lesson enough? Lin Hui shook his head with a smile. It's a lesson, but not a heavy one. Since we are here, we must ensure they pay a dearly painful price. Let me put it this way. When robbers invade your home, attempting to steal your money and claim your wife, do you think just giving them a beating and sending them off suffices? Absolutely not. Zhang Jiantao, engulfed in anxiety and fury, declared, I must take revenge on him. At the very least, I shall ensure his leg is broken, rendering him incapable of self-care for the rest of his life. Lin Hui clapped his hands, pointing at him. I brought you here to shatter their legs. Indeed, all three at once. They come to our home to stir trouble and think they can just leave? It won't be that simple. The others nodded in agreement, filled with righteous indignation. Merely driving them away would be too lenient. Their legs must be broken. Let us see how brazen they are then. So how shall we proceed? Lin Hui chuckled. I plan to do this. And then hiss. Everyone gasped in unison, regarding him as if he were a demon. Suda looked at him with a growing sense of dread. He's gone mad, truly mad. If we go through with this, the repercussions will be dire. Zhang Jintao's expression turned grave. I too find this plan exceedingly perilous. It's not merely about breaking their legs. It's a matter of life and death. This could very well lead to greater troubles. We should proceed with caution. Lin Hui rolled his eyes. Are you afraid? If you're scared, you might as well go home. Whether we are remembered for our glory or infamy will have nothing to do with you. Regardless, once this deed is done, my life will have been worth it. The others exchanged glances, suddenly bursting into laughter. Though they recognized Lin Hui's provocation, they were drawn to it. Soldiers do not seek mere sustenance. They strive for honor. As long as they can contribute to their country and benefit the common people, risking their lives is worthwhile. Zhang Jiantao punched him lightly. You think you can monopolize this? With such a brilliant plan, if I don't participate, will I still be your commander? Suda smiled slightly. After all, I was your squad leader before. Now that you're in, can I really back down? Wang Yong and Chun Eru laughed the most heartily. Brother Hui, no more words are needed. As long as it serves the common good and benefits the nation, we'll follow you to the ends of the earth. Lin Hui beamed and declared, all right. Since everyone is in agreement, let us take action. Chapter 161. This time, we truly have enough in the lush mountains. Figures darted swiftly. Lin Hui suddenly halted, raising his right hand. Instantly, everyone behind him scattered like shadows, merging with the foliage. Moments later, several patrol vehicles rolled past. A group of sharp-eyed, gun-toting individuals swept by, their vigilant gazes scanning the woods. They were the patrol team near the border, seasoned jungle hunters, adept at detecting even the slightest irregularity. Standing atop their open-top jeep, their eyes scanned the surroundings like radar, yet they failed to detect anything amiss. After a brief interval, Lin Hui gradually rose, watching as the convoy disappeared into the distance. Only when they were completely out of sight did he stand upright and command, continue forward. In the next instant, within the area just surveyed by the patrol, a large group of individuals rose in unison, following Lin Hui as they pressed onward. Throughout their journey, they remained vigilant against both enemy patrols, visible sentries, and hidden watchers. They adeptly evade detection, exhibiting not a single flaw. Through extensive training and numerous practical exercises, their skills have advanced remarkably, surpassing their previous capabilities. They even possess an innate sense, as if their ancestors had always dwelled amidst the mountains and forests. The arts of disguise, concealment, ambush, and infiltration have permeated their very marrow. When encountering the enemy, Lin Hui need not issue any commands. They react instinctively, with an unparalleled fluidity. Having sprinted 30 kilometers along rugged terrain, Lin Hui led the group to the perimeter of a barbed wire fence. Before them lay the enemy's largest power plant in the north. Lin Hui positioned his team on slightly elevated ground, declaring, "This is the spot." He gestured toward the distant structures and instructed, "In a moment, 50 individuals will enter with explosives, targeting all critical facilities." Concerned, one member inquired, "Lin Hui, won't this cause significant trouble?" Lin Hui responded with a grin. "What trouble could arise? When we return, our superiors will commend us. This is a monumental achievement." The group nodded in agreement, recognizing the rationale behind their actions. They were not the aggressors. It was the provocateurs who had initiated this confrontation. This would serve as a lesson for them. Swiftly, Lin Hui selected 50 individuals from the ranks, urging, "Let us be decisive. Complete the setup and return immediately." The team nodded, racing downwards. They quickly scaled the barbed wire fence, vanishing into the night. Within the plant, 2 security guards patrolled with flashlights. "After the shift ends, where shall we revel?" one asked. "Isn't it obvious? To our usual spot. Join us for a couple of drinks." Just as they wandered off, Suda emerged from the shadows, sprinting toward the buildings ahead. Upon nearing, he affixed explosives to the structures and swiftly retreated. The others, like phantoms, utilized the cover of darkness to accomplish their tasks with remarkable efficiency. A quarter of an hour later, all returned to Lin Hui's side, announcing, "The bombs are set." Lin Hui retrieved a remote control from his pocket. "Everyone, cover your ears," he instructed before pressing the detonation button. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions erupted, lighting up the facility with flashes akin to lightning. The entire plant was jolted, with personnel believing an earthquake had occurred. The supervising leader rushed outside, demanding to know, "What has happened? What is going on?" A subordinate, clutching a fire extinguisher, hurried over, exclaiming, "Sir, the generators, the transformer station, and other critical equipment have all exploded. How could this happen?" The leader inquired, panic-stricken. "I don't know, sir. We need to extinguish the flames, or the entire power plant will be consumed." The supervising leader collapsed onto the ground, his heart sinking. As he surveyed the growing flames and heard the cacophony of explosions, tears threatened to spill. This catastrophic incident would leave several surrounding cities without power, and he would undoubtedly bear the brunt of the fallout. Observing the chaos at the power plant, Lin Hui chuckled softly, "Let us move on. It's time to create further disturbances elsewhere." Half an hour later, he led his team to a location near an oil depot. This was the second largest oil storage facility constructed by the enemy to the north. Lin Hui rubbed his hands together, signaling the commencement of their operation. Without further ado, the others charged forward, clutching explosives. With the power grid severed, the entire oil depot was engulfed in darkness. Only a handful of bewildered individuals wandered inside with flashlights, oblivious to the impending chaos. Thus, the group effortlessly affixed the bombs to the storage tanks and swiftly retreated. Lin Hui guided his team to a safe distance of 1 kilometer before triggering the detonation. Boom! A colossal fireball illuminated the night sky, transforming darkness into a blinding daylight. A magnificent mushroom cloud erupted skyward, imposing and awe-inspiring. "Take cover!" Lin Hui bellowed, and everyone quickly crouched behind the nearest shelter, pressing themselves against the ground. In the next moment, a tremendous shockwave surged forward, uprooting some of the weaker trees entirely. Zhang Jintao's face flushed with exhilaration as he shouted with unrestrained enthusiasm. "This is absolutely exhilarating." The others were equally electrified, their adrenaline surging wildly. This was undoubtedly the most thrilling endeavor they had ever undertaken. Lin Hui's smile broadened as he urged, "Let us move on to the next target. While it's still dark and they're without power, we should detonate as many as we can. Once dawn breaks, the opportunity will vanish." With that, the group sprang to their feet, exhilarated, and continued to sprint forward. Meanwhile, in Hu City, the sound of urgent knocking echoed through a high-ranking official's residence. A frail old man furrowed his brow as he rose from bed, flicked on the lamp, but received no response. He could only use the light from his phone to approach the door. "What is all this ruckus at such an hour?" he grumbled. But his subordinates were frantic, nearly beside themselves. "Sir, he called you numerous times. Why didn't you answer? We're in a crisis." The old man opened his phone and was taken aback to find over 30 missed calls from officials at various levels. Having grown accustomed to taking sleeping pills, he had been under their influence at that moment and was powerless to respond. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he immediately inquired, "What on earth has happened?" His subordinate replied in a breathless rush, "Sir, just 3 hours ago, 2 power plants in the north, 3 oil depots, and a chemical storage facility all experienced explosions in quick succession. The chaos is overwhelming." "What?" The old man's eyes widened in shock, sleep evaporating instantly. "How could this happen? Did the enemy breach our defenses?" His subordinate shook his head. "It's still unclear. The military has dispatched personnel to investigate, and we expect results soon." At that moment, the old man felt a prickling unease. It was all too reminiscent. This incident bore an uncanny resemblance to a calamity from decades past. He needed no evidence to ascertain who was behind it. Who but his long-standing rival? Infuriated, he commanded, "Deploy the police immediately. We must unearth the instigator. We need accountability. Otherwise, we shall regress to the Stone Age." "Yes, sir." His subordinate departed swiftly. The old man sank into the sofa, his heart heavy with dread. In the past, the destruction of numerous industrial edifices in the north precipitated a decade-long economic regression. After incurring substantial costs, the arduous process of reconstruction was finally underway, only to be abruptly disrupted again. This is akin to an unhealed wound being painfully reopened, with a chunk of flesh torn away. In the darkness, he pounded his chest in despair, questioning how it came to be that, without provocation, they turned against us. They had already vented their frustrations for decades. Why were they returning for more? At 4 in the morning, as dawn approached, in the thicket near an automotive parts factory, Lin Hui munched on dry compressed biscuits and took a few sips of water, gradually regaining some strength. Soon, shadows began to rush back. Zhang Jintao signaled with his hand. "All clear." Suda nodded in agreement. "It's the same on my end." Wang Yong and Chun Eru chuckled foolishly. "Brother Hui, you can rest assured that we've taken care of the essential machinery and production lines without fail." Lin Hui grinned and pressed the remote control. This time, we've truly hit the mark. Chapter 162. A fatal blow, the enemy in disarray. Boom. Explosions erupted from factories in the distance, creating chaos in the industrial area. Fortunately, no casualties occurred. This was, of course, a deliberate arrangement by Lin Hui. Their explosives targeted only the large, crucial equipment and production lines, deliberately avoiding harm to innocent civilians. They were a force of righteousness, not executioners, and had no need to perpetrate unnecessary slaughter. Lin Hui gazed into the distance, coldly asserting, decades ago, our forebears endured hunger to aid these ingrates, only to be repaid with ingratitude. Though they triumphed back then, it came at a grievous cost. Yet, these individuals, lacking memory, have once again begun their antics after just a few decades. Today, we shall tread the path of our ancestors, delivering them a painful blow once more. So these rascals understand that we were not to be trifled with in the past, and certainly not now. The others nodded solemnly, their eyes brimming with pride. Although their actions were audacious, they had ultimately resolved a significant issue for their homeland. They had demolished numerous power plants, oil depots, and factories, effectively crippling the enemy's northern infrastructure, potentially setting their economy back by a decade or two. Thus, even if the enemy harbored thoughts of mischief, they would be unable to act upon them. This was the ultimate aim of their mission. What sense was there in petty skirmishes? It was imperative to inflict serious damage, ensuring the enemy thought twice before acting rashly. Zhang Jiantao rubbed his hands together, eagerly asking, Lin Hui, where shall we strike next? Lin Hui replied coolly, we 1T strike again. We retreat. Retreat? Everyone was taken aback. Zhang Jiantao quickly inquired, but there are 2 more factories nearby. Shouldn't we eliminate them before we leave? Lin Hui pointed skyward. Daylight is approaching. Without the cover of night, we lose our advantage. Moreover, do you truly believe the enemy is oblivious? They are undoubtedly mobilizing substantial forces to apprehend us. If we do not leave now, we may very well become martyrs. He patted Zhang Jiantao on the shoulder and said, of course, if the company commander wishes to remain alone, that is also acceptable. At worst, if you find yourself surrounded, you can go down in a blaze of glory with them. When we return, the rest of us will visit the Martyrs' Wall daily to pay our respects to you. Zhang Jiantao swatted his hand away, replying irritably, get lost. You just want to take my place when I'm gone. That 1T happened. Lin Hui chuckled. Oh, come now? Whether you are here or not, I will still climb to the top, regardless. Zhang Jiantao nearly spat blood in exasperation. So, you've been eyeing my position for quite some time, haven't you? Lin Hui waved his hand dismissively. All right, let us retreat now. We've done enough for today? Let them scramble on their own from here. The others nodded, reveling in the mischief, and quickly followed suit. In the temporary command post of the 328 region, the commander slammed his palm on the table, furiously pointing at Gao Shan. Why didn't you report such an important matter? Do you realize the magnitude of trouble this could cause if not handled properly? Gao Shan stood frozen, like a wronged wife. Commander, I thought they were quite capable, so what nonsense is that? The commander erupted. Have you lost your mind? A regiment commander being led by a mere second lieutenant? And that Lin Hui? Has he lost his wits to cause a ruckus on their territory? If anything goes wrong, who will bear the responsibility? Gao Shan, chastened, fell silent. He had acted impulsively, covering for Lin Hui and failing to report the situation. Now, with the situation exposed, fear gripped him. Their territory was fraught with danger, and if captured by the enemy, those rascals would undoubtedly leverage this against them without hesitation. Panic set in. Commander, what should we do now? The commander, seething with anger, retorted, what do you mean? What to do? Utilize all available means to establish contact with them. They must return immediately. If even one person is harmed, you and that Lin Hui will be facing a military tribunal. Gao Shan shuddered, nearly brought to tears. He hadn't realized the severity of the consequences at that moment. But now that it had happened, all he could do was attempt to mitigate the fallout. He hoped Lin Hui and the others would remain safe. As Gao Shan saluted and turned to leave, the door was suddenly flung open, nearly breaking his nose. The chief of staff rushed in, visibly agitated. Commander, we have news. We have news. Gao Shan, filled with anticipation, asked what news. Is it about Lin Hui and the others? The commander shot him a glare, prompting him to immediately silence himself. What is the news? The chief of staff hurriedly reported. Just now, our intelligence department received word that last night, from midnight to dawn, 2 power plants, 3 oil depots, a chemical factory, and several production bases in the Monkey region all suffered explosive attacks. The entire northern region's manufacturing, electricity, and chemical industries are completely paralyzed, and it will be nearly impossible to recover for the next decade, with conservative estimates of losses exceeding 500 billion. The division commander and the regiment commander stood in stunned silence, their jaws dropping to the ground. Was this a dream? The division commander immediately inquired. Do you know who did this? Before the chief of staff could respond, Takasugi excitedly jumped up, exclaiming, I know. It was Lin Hui and his crew. It must have been those rascals. When I authorized their mission, I specifically instructed them to deliver a crushing blow to the enemy. Ideally, they should incapacitate them for 10 or even 20 years. Just look at what these youngsters have accomplished. Marvelous. isn't it? Ha! The division commander's mouth twitched in irritation. How utterly shameless. Just moments ago, he had been wallowing in self-pity, and now he was reveling in triumph. However, if this was indeed their doing, then Lin Hui and his team would be hailed as heroes. Though their actions lacked official sanction, they had secured a decade, perhaps even two, of peace and stability for this region. The division commander cast a disdainful glance at the smug Takasugi and snorted, "You're coming with me. We need to report the situation in detail to our superiors. You had better pray that Lin Hui and his team return safely. If they don't, you will bear the consequences." "Yes, sir." Takasugi saluted, his heart soaring with delight. Lin Hui was truly remarkable, achieving something so monumental that it could be etched in history. Meanwhile, in an enemy reception room, Deng Taishan looked disheveled, his eyes bloodshot and wild, resembling a madman. He had been confined there for days, ostensibly for protection. He knew it was a form of house arrest. Unless the situation resolved, he would never see the outside world again. Just then, the door swung open, and as he saw the silver-haired general enter, he rushed forward with hope. Sir, what does the higher command say? Am I to be imprisoned or released? I have reflected deeply on this matter. I indeed mismanaged the command, but the enemy is cunning, that is true. I have drafted a detailed battle report, meticulously analyzing the enemy's tactics, and I have discovered a method to counter them. If you let me out and allow me to lead my troops again, I am confident, no, absolutely certain, that I can reclaim that territory and atone for my mistakes. The silver-haired general regarded him with a gaze that conveyed pity, disappointment, and a hint of mockery. He coldly chuckled, shaking his head. It is no longer necessary. Not necessary? Deng Taishan was taken aback. Have we regained the territory? Or has the higher command compromised and given up? Neither, the general sighed, appearing significantly older. Last night, those individuals infiltrated our defenses and destroyed our northern power supply facilities, oil depots, and several key factories. What? Deng Taishan's eyes widened in terror, unable to comprehend. How could this be? How did they manage to infiltrate? Were our guards merely idle? Just as he stood in shock, several men dressed in suits with frostbitten expressions entered the room. The man at the forefront spoke with a tone as frigid as an ice cellar. Deng Taishan, due to your grave error, the enemy has infiltrated, resulting in significant losses for our side. I hereby revoke all your positions and rights and formally place you under arrest. You shall face the most severe judgment and pay a painful price for your actions. Deng Taishan felt a buzzing in his head, as if his very bones had been extracted, collapsing onto the ground in utter despair. This time, not only had he lost, but the entire monkey faction had suffered a catastrophic defeat. Chapter 163. The people have disappeared, and there is no evidence? In a small town near the southwest border, unfamiliar faces suddenly appeared. These were none other than the soldiers of the Tiger Corps, now all donned in plain clothes. Apart from their robust physiques, they bore little distinction from the local populace. At a roadside rice noodle stall, Wang Yong eagerly devoured his dish, tilting his head to gulp down the broth. Boss. Another bowl of rice noodles, with extra scallions and cilantro. Beside him, Chen Eru was equally insistent. Boss, I'll have the same. Lin Hui sat across from them, observing the mountain of bowls in front of the two, his lips curling in bemusement. Have you two never had a full meal in your past lives? Together. You've nearly consumed 8 bowls. Aren't you afraid of bursting? The duo wiped their mouths and looked up, grinning foolishly. Better to burst than to starve. Before long, the owner returned with 2 steaming bowls of rice noodles. After adding chili and vinegar, they mixed it with chopsticks and began to eat. Their voracious appetite left the other patrons in the establishment dumbfounded, having likely never witnessed such an insatiable display, as if they were reborn from starvation. After a while, the two finally patted their bellies in satisfaction. We are full, truly full. Lin Hui, with a head full of black lines, felt utterly speechless. Had he known, he would have left these two with the squad leader. Bringing them along was quite embarrassing. Standing up to settle the bill, he turned to the pair and asked if they were full. They exchanged glances, beaming brightly. Full, very full. Then let us go? Lin Hui led them out of the rice noodle stall and towards a small restaurant. Just as he was about to enter, Wang Yong quickly stopped him. Brother Hui, didn't we just eat? Why are we going for another meal? Lin Hui glanced at their bulging bellies, replying coolly, you may be full, but I am not. Moreover, this meal is being treated by the squad leader. It would be remiss not to partake. With that, he stepped inside. The two fools stared in disbelief. Damn it. We've been tricked. As they entered the private room on the second floor, Zhang Jiantao, Su De, and several other squad leaders were already inside, having ordered an abundant spread of dishes, including fish and meat. Wang Yong and Chen Eru looked at the bountiful table, their eyes reddening with urgency. They had just devoured 5 bowls of rice noodles each, and now they felt as though they could barely swallow another bite. Wang Yong, visibly agitated, exclaimed, Brother Hui, you are being quite unreasonable. You didn't even mention the squad leader was treating us. After all we've eaten, how can we possibly eat more? Shin-Eru gazed at the lavish spread before him, tears welling in his eyes. What a tremendous loss. What a tremendous loss. Hui-Gu is truly wicked, deceiving us into eating rice noodles while he indulges in sumptuous delicacies. Lin Hui rolled his eyes in response. I merely passed by, curious to sample the local specialty rice noodles. Who invited you two simpletons to join and consume so much? You must be on the verge of bursting, aren't you? Serves you right. The others, observing the disgruntled expressions of the duo, erupted in laughter. These two fools were indeed the source of amusement. Each consumed 5 bowls of rice noodles, their bellies ready to explode. Zhang Jiantao chuckled. No worries, if you can't finish, I'll pack some for you to take home. The two, upon hearing this, grew even more displeased. They were all part of the same unit. Who didn't know each other's capabilities? A group of soldiers dining together. And there was talk of leftovers? What a joke. Soon, all the dishes were served, and as the door to the private room closed, everyone turned in unison to Lin Hui, eager for updates. What directives do we have from above, and when can we return to the base? Lin Hui took a sip of tea to clear his throat. We can leave tomorrow. The monkeys haven't located us yet, and they should be preparing to withdraw. Initially, after the operation concluded, they intended to return directly. However, midway, they received instructions from higher-ups to refrain from regrouping. Given the significant ramifications of this affair, returning immediately could leave them vulnerable to repercussions. The higher-ups preferred that they linger in the woods a bit longer, but Lin Hui, with a flash of inspiration, decided to bring everyone to this border town instead, dispersing the personnel to minimize risk. This strategy served 2 purposes. 1, to prevent any tails from following them, and 2, to observe the developments on the monkey front before making further plans. Today marked the 3rd day since their arrival in the town. Thus far, all remained calm. Meanwhile, the members of the Tiger Brigade were diligently training at the base, and seizing the opportunity to relax, they reveled in their newfound freedom. Some dined, others enjoyed baths, and a few even ventured to internet cafes for gaming. Lin Hui tacitly approved, viewing it as a necessary respite for everyone. After all, they had endured much recently, and these few days offered a chance to recuperate. Zhang Jiantao, concerned, inquired, has there been any indication from above regarding our actions? Lin Hui shook his head. No explicit statements were made in the call, but I can assure you, we will not face punishment. Why do you say that? The others paused their eating, curiosity piqued. Lin Hui smirked. The fact that they haven't ordered our return is a clear indication of their concern for our safety. Moreover, if they truly wished to punish us, they wouldn't have us lying low. They would have dispatched someone to apprehend us directly. The group's eyes lit up. Excitement palpable. Indeed, that makes perfect sense. We seek not accolades, only to avoid blame. Although their actions had been nothing short of extraordinary, they had nonetheless violated military regulations. As long as they could avoid punishment and confinement, it was a victory in itself. Zhang Jiantao raised his cup, laughing heartily. Come, come, let this be our celebration feast. I propose a toast to Lin Hui. Were it not for him, we would never have accomplished such a spirited endeavor in our lifetimes. Lin Hui, we honor you. The company commanders all rose, lifting their glasses in his direction. Lin Hui smiled gently and stood as well. In my view, this toast should be dedicated to everyone. I merely took the lead. Without your collective effort, this achievement would have been unattainable. Laughter erupted among the crowd, for indeed, it was a valid point. In the private room, all raised their glasses and drank heartily. Only Wang Yong and Shin-Eru had not finished their drinks. Suda glanced at the remnants in their glasses and furrowed his brow. What's the matter with you two? Can't finish a single drink while the rest of us have already downed ours? You're just keeping fish here? The two belched contentedly, looking rather dejected. Squad leader. We simply can't drink anymore. One more sip and we'll surely regurgitate. The room burst into laughter. These two were truly something else. The banquet concluded swiftly, and everyone returned to their lodgings for a final rest, preparing for their formal return the next day. In the evening, within the enemy's high command office, an elderly man slammed his teacup against the wall, shattering it into pieces. A bunch of useless fools. So many of you, and yet you lost track of them. In the woods no less. The men below him lowered their heads. We underestimated their capabilities. Their experience in the jungle far exceeds ours. Moreover, it appears their commander realized we were tailing them, leading us in circles through the forest, and we dared not get too close, maintaining our distance instead. The old man banged the table and shouted, "What use are your words now? You've lost track of the men. How are we to negotiate with the opposition?" One man raised his head, puzzled. "But sir, they have destroyed so many of our structures. That is a fact." The old man scoffed. "A fact? Do you have any evidence?" "No witnesses, no physical proof, not even a photograph of them returning. It would be absurd for them to admit it. They can easily claim it was someone else." The man seethed with frustration. Damn it, how shameless. Knowing who is responsible, but lacking evidence leaves us powerless against them. Unless we can capture someone or obtain a photo of them returning, all of this is futile. We've suffered losses and must swallow our grievances. This is utterly vexing. What shall we do now? Can we seek assistance from the international community to apply some pressure? The old man shook his head vigorously. Useless, useless, useless. Unless we have evidence, all discussions are in vain, and we cannot bring this matter to light. We were the ones who encroached on their territory first. If this gets exposed, we will be the ones condemned. So, shall we just let it go? What else can we do? The old man retorted angrily. Spitting as he spoke, he sighed heavily. We should never have provoked that dragon. We were inferior to them in the past, and now, we are even more so. Recall all our agents. The enemy has surely returned, and there is no value in pursuing them further. We have lost. Chapter 164, The Highest Honor of a Soldier. Area 328. A team advanced through the forested mountains. Outside the barracks at the summit, Li Guotao quickly recognized the approaching figures and hurried to greet them. He briskly approached Lin Hui and saluted, saying, "Welcome back." Lin Hui returned the gesture with a smile, replying, "Thank you. Let us go." Li Guotao led the way back, occasionally glancing over his shoulder at Lin Hui and the soldiers behind him. Noticing Lin Hui's persistent gaze, he queried, "Why are you looking at us like that? Surely you don't harbor any strange thoughts about us?" Li Guotao chuckled heartily. "I was reminiscing about when I first encountered you all. I nearly mistook you for wild men. But now, I see I was mistaken. You are indeed an elite unit, the creme de la creme." Lin Hui and the soldiers behind him erupted in laughter. It was hardly surprising. During their training in the forest, they had endured hardships, sleeping under the stars and facing the elements, resembling wild men indeed. Lin Hui smiled and added, "We truly are elite. We have even bested special forces." Li Guotao's eyes widened in astonishment. "You defeated special forces? That's remarkable." Zhang Jiantao, standing behind, chuckled, "Not just once. Those guys might look formidable, but once they meet us, well, let us just say they end up on the losing side." In the eyes of conventional troops, special forces were revered as the pinnacle of infantry, with reconnaissance soldiers being the apex of that hierarchy. The realization that this group had triumphed over special forces not once, but twice, suggested their prowess was indeed at the summit. Li Guotao's gaze brimmed with fervor and admiration. "Incredible. Lin Hui, now I understand why you dared to lead a regiment against a division." Lin Hui laughed heartily. "Let us keep it low-key. I am not one for ostentation. You must indeed disclose that, in truth, we are not intimidated by a division, nor even an army. We possess that capacity and capability." Li Guotao retorted, "Are you serious? You're inflating your own ego. Engaging a division is already pushing the limits, teetering on the brink of peril. You wish to confront an army? Why not aim for extraterrestrials instead?" Yet, Lin Hui was indeed unlike anyone else he had encountered. Not only did he dare to dream, but he also dared to act. The ability to vanquish a division with merely a regiment was nothing short of miraculous. Reflecting on it now felt akin to listening to a legendary tale, a remarkable battle worthy of being chronicled in textbooks. Soon, Li Guotao led everyone into the camp. As they entered, all were taken aback, including Lin Hui, who was momentarily stunned. The ground was adorned with a red carpet, and soldiers stood in formation on either side. Their demeanor solemn and dignified. Everyone in the camp, including officers, was positioned at the front, facing them. The leader was none other than the commander of the border division they had encountered earlier. The commander bellowed, "Attention!" In unison, everyone raised their right hands. Standing tall as they saluted Lin Hui and his comrades with deep respect in their eyes, the commander shouted once more, "Welcome, heroes, to your triumphant return." The sound of cannon fire resonated as colorful sequins cascaded from the sky like snowflakes, showering upon the heads of the crowd. Lin Hui's body trembled, and he immediately returned the salute along with everyone else. Witnessing the grand ceremony before him, his eyes began to glisten with unshed tears. After enduring so much during his time in the military, this was the first occasion he had experienced such honor. In that moment, he felt that all the hardships and sufferings he had endured were entirely justified. Others around him could no longer contain their emotions, tears streaming down their faces. Soldiers do not seek fame or fortune. They merely hope that their sacrifices hold value and receive recognition. Now, the military welcomed their return with the highest of honors, which stood as the ultimate glory for any soldier. For reasons unknown, I found myself overwhelmed with the urge to weep. Wang Yang's tears swirled in his eyes. "I still cannot believe that I have become a great hero. I remember initially wanting to just muddle through 2 years and then return to find a job, but now I realize how profoundly I love this place. I do not wish to leave. I want to serve in the military for a lifetime, dedicating myself to the people." Chun Eru sobbed uncontrollably. "If my parents knew I had achieved merit in the army and was saluted by so many leaders, they would be overjoyed." Su Da's eyes brimmed with tears, his hands trembling with excitement. Such an honor was something he had never dared to dream of. His gaze instinctively turned towards Lin Hui, filled with pride and gratitude. If it weren't for Lin Hui, he would never have been able to enjoy such esteemed recognition, even as a lifelong soldier. The honor guard was a testament to immense contributions, and the fact that the commander himself led the salute was a point of pride he could boast about for a lifetime. The commander approached Lin Hui, scrutinizing him with a smile. Lin Hui felt a bit awkward. He had once secured first place in a competition at the Border Defense Division, and the commander had intended to cultivate him further. Yet, he had requested a transfer to another unit, leveraging his father's connections, which nearly infuriated the commander. He quickly saluted, saying, "Good day, Commander." The commander patted his shoulder and chuckled. "You've done well, my boy. After such a long time apart, you've given me an enormous surprise upon our reunion. Had I known, I would have done everything in my power to keep you here, even if it meant losing everything." Lin Hui laughed lightly. "Commander, I remember you once said that no matter where I go, I must not forget the Border Defense Division. I have kept that in my heart. Thus, even if I am not with you, I am still your soldier." The commander thumped his fist against Lin Hui's chest. "Well said. I love to hear such words. Regardless of circumstance, you are one of us from the Border Defense Division, and you are our pride." He sighed inwardly, cursing the old scoundrel, Lu Qingsong, for having reaped such a great benefit. A few bottles of Maotai had cost him such a fine soldier. Now, he regretted it deeply. Had he known how exceptional Lin Hui was, he would have done everything possible to keep him, even if it meant begging and pleading. The recent battle with the monkeys had showcased Lin Hui's tactical prowess, pushing guerrilla warfare to its utmost limits. Various tactical maneuvers were interwoven so deftly that not only the enemy, but even he himself found himself bewildered, utterly incapable of predicting Lin Hui's next move. This fellow was truly a master of cunning. If he were to be stationed at the border to train troops, the soldiers he would lead would surely be formidable. The commander took a deep breath and addressed him. "Although this operation was not sanctioned, the sudden nature of the events will spare you from punishment. However, each of you must submit a self-reflection. Acting independently is inadvisable. To secure victory, the troops must always adhere to the principles of discipline." "Understood." Lin Hui nodded, comprehending the reprimand. The strength of our military lies in its unwavering discipline. If each unit acted without authorization, chaos would surely ensue. The commander chuckled. "Come, we have prepared a celebratory feast for you in the mess hall. It is imperative that we honor your achievements." At the back, Wang Yong whispered, "Leader, can we drink?" The commander paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. "A celebration without wine is no celebration at all. You are all heroes. Drink as much as you desire. Today, we shall not return until we are intoxicated." Cheers erupted as everyone eagerly dashed toward the mess hall. Nothing brings greater joy than a hearty meal. At the table, everyone drank merrily, for it was a celebratory occasion, and they relished the freedom to indulge without fear of Lin Hui dragging them into the woods. After all, such an occurrence was a one-time affair. A repeat would lose its effect. The following morning, as Lin Hui was washing up, Gao Shan suddenly appeared. "Hurry, come with me." Lin Hui wiped his face. "Where to?" Gao Shan urged. "Someone wishes to see you. No time for idle chatter. Let us go." Lin Hui quickly donned his uniform and military cap, instinctively adjusting his attire as he passed by the military mirror. He then rushed downstairs and swiftly jumped into a jeep. The vehicle started and rapidly departed the camp. At the border command post, a vehicle was permitted entry after passing the guard's inspection. It arrived at an office building, and as soon as it stopped, an officer came over to open the door for him. Lin Hui was momentarily taken aback. Was this treatment not a bit excessive? Directly to the 6th floor, second office. The officer smiled broadly, exuding friendliness. Lin Hui glanced back at Gao Shan, who shrugged and offered an awkward smile. He was merely the messenger. Without orders, he could not ascend either. "Go on, the leader is waiting for you upstairs." Lin Hui nodded and promptly ascended the stairs. Arriving at the office door, he adjusted his attire before gently knocking. "Come in." Lin Hui pushed the door open and was astonished to see Lu Qingsong and Zhou Zhongyi also present. He immediately approached Deputy Commander Lu Shan and saluted. "Reporting, sir. I am Lin Hui, Deputy Commander of the 6th Company, Tiger Regiment, 602nd Division of the Southwest Theater, here to report." Lu Shan smiled as he assessed him, then waved to Lu Qingsong and Zhou Zhongyi. "You two may leave. I need to speak with him privately." The two were momentarily taken aback, then saluted. "Yes, sir." Before leaving, they exchanged a meaningful glance with Lin Hui, their faces adorned with an unyielding smile as they exited the office. Once the door closed, Lu Shan circled around Lin Hui twice. The intensity of his gaze made Lin Hui feel somewhat uneasy. Could it be that he was about to receive a reprimand? That couldn't be the case, could it? Suddenly, Lu Shan chuckled and remarked, as expected of a tiger from the Zhang family. You truly have inherited the exceptional bloodline of a soldier, reminiscent of your father in his youth. Lin Hui was taken aback. Chief, do you know my father? Lu Shan laughed heartily. Not just know him, we were practically comrades. We fought in the same trench back in the day. Upon hearing this, Lin Hui felt a rush of understanding and relaxed, plopping down onto the sofa. So, you're an acquaintance. You gave me quite a scare. I thought I had done something wrong. Lu Shan shot him a stern glare. Who told you to sit down? Stand up. Lin Hui waved his hand dismissively, casually replying. Oh, come on, Chief, don't be so rigid. It's just the two of us. There's no one else around. Why not join me? Standing is rather tiring. Especially since I have to look up at you. Lu Shan's lips twitched in annoyance. This young second lieutenant had no sense of propriety, daring to be so impertinent before a deputy commander. Had it been anyone else, they would have been dragged out by security for such insolence. Yet, this lad's audacious demeanor was a mirror image of his father's youthful indiscretions. Indeed, the bloodline was evident. He barked, stand at attention. At the command, Lin Hui's muscles reacted instinctively, and he stood upright. Lu Shan coldly instructed, attention, at ease, attention. With agility, Lin Hui brought his feet together, chest out, resembling a straight, unyielding rifle. Lu Shan observed him and finally nodded in satisfaction. Now that's more like it. Lin Hui grinned at him, but Lu Shan admonished. No smiling. Be serious. Immediately, Lin Hui wiped the smile from his face and adopted a solemn expression. Lu Shan spoke earnestly, Comrade Lin Hui. During the recent border defense operation, your regiment performed exceptionally well. Not only did you thwart the enemy's plans and reclaim territory, but you also dealt them a crushing blow. As the commander, your contributions are invaluable. Hearing this, Lin Hui felt a surge of excitement. Here it comes. The reward was finally on its way. Lu Shan continued. In light of your regiment's courageous performance and tenacious spirit in battle, the higher-ups have decided to award your Tiger Regiment with a collective first-class merit. You will be promoted to the rank of captain with a proper company position, and when an opportunity arises, you will be sent to military school for further studies. Additionally, you will receive a People's Guardian Medal. Lin Hui's fingers trembled with excitement. Just a short while ago, he had been promoted to second lieutenant, and now he was leaping 2 ranks directly to captain, and in a proper company position, no less. The speed of this advancement was akin to riding a rocket. Yet, what thrilled him the most was the People's Guardian Medal. He had heard his father mention it before, explaining that only those who made significant contributions to the nation could earn such an honor. In times of peace, very few received this medal, but each one was a hero among heroes. Some have even been inscribed in military history, destined for eternal remembrance. Lin Hui could scarcely have imagined that one day he would receive such an honor. It was, without a doubt, the most astonishing surprise and reward he had encountered since enlisting. Thank you, Commander. Lin Hui saluted vigorously, his smile so radiant it seemed to illuminate his entire face. Lu Shan, equally elated, patted him on the back and remarked, Lin Hui, initially, your commendation was to be merely a first-class merit. Had it not been for your audacious infiltration into enemy territory, destroying numerous critical installations and thereby incapacitating their northern industry, the higher-ups would not have conferred upon you the People's Guardian Medal. You, single-handedly, have brought over a decade of peace and stability to the citizens along the border. Such an achievement is truly monumental. With an air of self-satisfaction, Lin Hui chuckled, this is merely my duty. Moreover, those ingrates deserved a reckoning. In the past, when we were weak, they thrived. Now that we have grown stronger, if they continue to provoke us, it would amount to courting disaster. If not for the insufficient explosives, I could have not only incapacitated their northern front, but sent them back to the agrarian age without hesitation. Lu Shan burst into hearty laughter, exclaiming, well said. You, my boy, are audacious, more so than your father in his youth. Lin Hui responded with surprise, Commander, did my father also earn a command at the regiment level or perhaps receive the People's Guardian Medal at a mere 20 years of age? Wait a moment. I seem to recall he did not possess such a medal. Lu Shan chuckled, almost in tears from laughter. He discerned that the relationship between Lin Hui and his father was not particularly amicable, and there appeared to be an underlying rivalry, as if Lin Hui sought to outshine him at every turn. This will not do. I must have a word with Lin Guangyao to ensure he does not find himself overshadowed by his own son, for that would be a source of embarrassment for him. He is far too proud for such a fate. Clearing his throat, Lu Shan continued, however, having received this accolade, do not let it lead to complacency. Remain steadfast in your mission and continue to forge ahead. Our adversaries are not limited to this one. We shall face many intricate challenges in the future. Therefore, I hope you will strive further, contributing even more to our nation and its people. Yes, Lin Hui replied solemnly, saluting with gravity. This was indeed his cherished aspiration. He was no longer the frivolous young man who merely sought to pass the days until his discharge. Having endured so much, he felt the profound transformation within himself. He had come to appreciate the significance of being a soldier. A soldier stands as the first line of defense for the motherland, the cornerstone of national stability and the prosperity of its citizens. Especially after the recent battle against the insurgents, he had gained a deeper understanding of his responsibilities and mission. The phrase to protect the home and defend the nation had indelibly etched itself into his very being, melding with his blood, becoming his unwavering belief. Lu Shan emphasized, furthermore, due to the sensitive nature of this matter, I urge you to refrain from publicizing it upon your return. For the time being, apart from a select few in our border defense unit, others remain unaware of your situation. Lin Hui nodded in understanding, recognizing that matters involving international relations were never trivial. Lu Shan then added, additionally, each participant in this operation will be awarded a third-class merit. Those who have exhibited exceptional performance may submit their names. There are 2 first-class merit awards and 5 second-class merit awards available. Thank you, Commander. Lin Hui's face beamed with joy, even more so than if he were receiving an award himself. This operation relied entirely on the collective effort of all. Without them, what use would my plans be? In the military, an individual's strength is insignificant. It is the strength of the collective that reigns supreme. Warfare is never a solitary endeavor. It thrives on unity and sincere collaboration. Thus, in Lin Hui's heart, every participant in this operation was remarkable, each performing extraordinarily. They defended the homeland with their lives, fulfilling their duties as soldiers. Now that their efforts have been acknowledged and rewarded, Lin Hui felt genuine happiness for them from the depths of his being. Let us return. The rewards will be delivered tonight. Yes, Commander. Lin Hui saluted respectfully and turned to leave with a smile. As he stepped out, Lu Qingsong and Zhou Zhongyi rushed in like sprinters, eagerly surrounding him. What did the commander say to you? Did he praise you? Commander, what rewards did you receive? Lin Hui briefly recounted the rewards. After listening, both men stood frozen, their expressions blank. It took a couple of seconds for them to regain their composure, moving their heads like mechanical puppets to stare at Lin Hui. A collective first-class merit? The entire regiment receives third-class merit? And there are 2 first-class and 5 second-class merit awards? You also received the People's Guardian Medal and were exceptionally promoted to captain? Lin Hui nodded with a smile. Indeed, the commander said our Tiger Brigade is a formidable force, each of us a hero in our own right, and urged us to continue our efforts and achieve even greater glory. Commander, can I say that I have brought honor to our regiment and our division? Yes, you have certainly brought great honor to us. The 2 men erupted with excitement, jumping around like exuberant children. However, their exuberance was understandable. The unexpected accolades left them utterly astonished. Lu Qingsong rushed forward to embrace Lin Hui, planting a couple of hearty kisses on his cheek, almost scraping Lin Hui's face with his stubble. Ha! Lin Hui, you are truly our 602's lucky star. Zhou Zhongyi, with eyes brimming with emotion, gave a thumbs up. Lin Hui, you are incredible, truly remarkable. Since I became the regiment commander, I have never received a collective first-class merit, let alone so many individual third-class merits. Damn it. Thank goodness you are one of my soldiers. If you were anyone else, I would be consumed by jealousy. He slapped Lin Hui's arm excitedly and declared, it is my lifelong pride to have nurtured a soldier like you. Lu Qingsong shot him a glare. You were not the one who trained him. I was the one who brought him up, including you. Zhou Zhongyi felt a surge of frustration. I bear the burdens, yet you take all the credit. Why do you get to enjoy all the glory? Nevertheless, this achievement is undeniably monumental. The entire regiment receives third-class merit, a collective first-class merit, and Lin Hui's exceedingly precious People's Guardian Medal. There is no more impressive, more extraordinary unit in all of Southwest than theirs. Lu Qingsong patted him and said, let us go, let us go. The master has prepared a victory banquet for you, and it must be celebrated properly. Zhou Zhongyi, you drive. Zhou Zhongyi was taken aback. Leader, isn't there a driver? Lu Qingsong punched him lightly. I said drive. So drive. Why all the unnecessary chatter? It's not a small matter. The higher-ups have bestowed numerous rewards, and letting you drive is a mere privilege. Come, let us together welcome the heroes back in triumph. Zhou Zhongyi was at a loss, wishing they would stop troubling him. After all, he was also Commander Lin Hui. However, he resigned himself, recognizing that this time, he had brought immense glory to the regiment. Given this splendid achievement, even if they did not secure favorable results in the exercises, it was certain that they would not be easily disbanded by the higher-ups. In the evening, within the military compound, Lin Guangyao listened to the phone call, utterly dumbfounded. It took him a full 3 seconds to regain his composure. Old Lu, what did you say? Lin Hui has been exceptionally promoted to captain and awarded the People's Guardian Medal? You must be joking. That brat is capable of such feats? Chapter 166. After serving 2 years, has he disregarded his own father? Old Lu, surely you jest. What incredible feat has he accomplished? Hasn't he blown something up? Has he? Lu Shan rolled his eyes. His imagination indeed was quite vivid. Of course, this was the dream of every descendant of Yin and Huang. However, it seemed unlikely to be realized anytime soon. One could only hope that someone would achieve it in the future. Lu Shan cleared his throat and said, normally, this matter should remain confidential, known only to a select few at the border and headquarters, but given our close relationship. Besides, you are both Lin Hui's father and the Southeast commander. Lin Guangyao retorted sharply, speak quickly, no need to dawdle like a woman. Lu Shan laughed heartily. After all these years, this old fellow was still as impatient as ever. All right, no more teasing. Here's the situation, a few days ago, in the 3287 region. Upon hearing the details, Lin Guangyao was left speechless, his jaw nearly hitting the floor. It took him over 10 seconds to fully comprehend the situation. Hiss. Lin Guangyao inhaled sharply. Was this truly that brat? Quietly, he had accomplished such monumental deeds and received rewards aplenty. He had even been awarded the title of People's Guardian. It was well known that after years of service in the military, having made countless contributions, he had never received such honors. How could this brat have surpassed him? It felt surreal, as if he were dreaming. However, he was aware of recent events in the region, although the specifics remained unclear due to confidentiality. Decades ago, they had generously supported the other side, even to the point of ruin. This had resulted in ingratitude, almost inviting disaster. During that initial battle, several of Lin Guangyao's comrades had perished under the enemy's fire, which fueled his hatred against them. His animosity towards them was no less than that towards the other side. Now, they were repeating their mistakes, coming back to provoke and attempting to seize their territory. Lin Guangyao could only lament that he was not the commander of the border defense, otherwise, he would have annihilated that group of scoundrels. Yet now, those individuals have suffered an excruciating lesson, with the economy regressing by over a decade, or even two, a loss far graver than the last. Which is indeed a source of great satisfaction. That night, Lin Guangyao indulged in a few extra drinks, pondering who said that in times of peace, valiant soldiers cannot emerge. As descendants of Yin and Huang, we have never had a coward among us. However, it suddenly dawned on him that this audacious act was carried out by Lin Hui. It was utterly outrageous. Lin Guangyao could hardly believe that the same boy who had clamored for demobilization 2 years prior, yearning for a life of indulgence, now risked his life for the dignity of the nation and the safety of the people, undertaking such a perilous venture. It is crucial to understand that although the enemy may seem weak, their strength is not to be underestimated. A slight misstep could lead to irremediable consequences for everyone involved. Even he, in a similar situation, would not have dared to make such a reckless decision. Yet, the young Lin Hui actually did it, and remarkably, he succeeded. In just a few days, he secured over a decade of peace and stability for the citizens near the southwest border, which is why he was awarded the People's Guardian Medal. Hello, Lao Lin, where are you? After a moment of silence on the other end of the line, Lu Shan called out again. Lin Guangyao took a moment to gather his thoughts before responding. Stop shouting, I'm not deaf. Lu Shan chuckled. Are you surprised and shocked by this news? Lin Guangyao took a deep breath, suppressing his astonishment. To be honest, I am indeed shocked. Even now, I cannot believe that this was done by that lad. With a smile, Lu Shan remarked, indeed, that boy has changed tremendously. Lao Lin, you were far less impressive in your youth compared to your son now. Lin Guangyao's eyes widened in disbelief. Who said that? Lu Shan quickly waved his hands. That's not my words, it's your son's own statement. He also mentioned that you never commanded a regiment in your youth. Nor did you ever receive as many honors as he has. By the way, he said you never received the People's Guardian Medal, while he has. Lin Guangyao's anger flared instantly. Did he really say that? Lu Shan, relishing the drama, replied, would I deceive you? Lao Lin, I can see it now. The men of the Lin family are all spirited and ambitious, especially the third son. I used to think he was hopeless, but now I realize he is the most formidable of them all. This son of yours has grand ambitions. It seems he is preparing to surpass you. Nonsense. Lin Guangyao scoffed inwardly. How could this young lad, having been in the military for such a short time, think he could eclipse his father? He must still be dreaming. However, he knew he had to maintain composure in front of others. Putting on a nonchalant facade, Lin Guangyao remarked, the young waves of the Yangtze River push the older ones aside. If my son possesses talent, I would naturally be pleased for him. If one day he surpasses me, it is only fitting. The future belongs to the youth, and I eagerly await that day. Lu Shan, seeing through his bravado, chose to remain silent about it. He cheerfully remarked, it's best that you think this way. I eagerly await the day you are surpassed. Just the thought of it fills me with anticipation. Ha ha ha. I'll hang up now. Once the call ended, Lin Guangyao was seething with rage, his nostrils flaring as if breathing fire. It was abundantly clear to him that that rascal Lu Shan had deliberately called to provoke him. However, he understood that such words could only originate from that little brat. Only he could utter such infuriating remarks. Lin Guangyao was incensed. How could someone who had only served in the army for 2 years and achieved a modicum of success become so arrogant? He actually dared to think he could rise above me. If this attitude is not corrected, he might truly believe himself invincible. In his eyes, Lin Hui had undoubtedly been intoxicated by the overwhelming honor he had received. Throughout history, how many individuals have lost themselves amid accolades and praise, forgetting their original intentions? Attaining too much honor at a young age is not a blessing. He must undergo further trials to mature. Only then will Lin Hui be able to tread more securely and travel further down the road ahead. A cold smirk played on Lin Guangyao's lips. Little Hui, you must understand my good intentions. This is all for your benefit. After a moment of contemplation, he picked up the telephone on his desk and dialed a number. Hello, Dad. Lin Guangyao coldly replied. In 2 days, the exercises will commence. If you encounter that insufferable brat, make sure to strike hard. It would be best to annihilate them completely. Lin Fan was taken aback. Dad, you call me in the middle of the night just to say this? Lin Guangyao snorted disdainfully. I will be observing the entire exercise. You better pay attention. If you dare to go easy on Lin Hui during the drills, when you return, I will have your head as brigade commander. Understood, Dad, Lin Fan replied, hanging up the phone, utterly bemused. Was his father experiencing a midlife crisis? Or had he consumed something fiery that night? Why such fury? It was as if he bore a grudge against Lin Hui, determined to instill psychological trauma upon him. Was he even his biological son? With a sigh, Lin Fan shook his head in resignation. Little Hui, do not hold it against your second brother for being ruthless. It's all because of our father's insistence. I hope you don't encounter me during the exercises, or else it will end badly for you. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. That night, the barracks were enveloped in silence. Everyone had retired early for the night. A few officers patrolled the area and, finding nothing amiss, returned to their quarters to rest. In the early hours, a sharp alarm suddenly shattered the stillness of the night. The soldiers sprang from their beds, quickly donning their gear and assembling downstairs, fully armed. The lead officer counted the personnel and stated coldly, the exercise has officially begun. Move out. Everyone rushed onto the armored vehicles. The thunderous roar of the engines spoke of the ironclad romanticism that belonged to men. A fleet of armored vehicles, tanks, and rocket launchers surged toward the exercise grounds. Meanwhile, in the Southeast Theater, all Blue Army forces had gathered and were swiftly departing from their respective camps towards the exercise venue. Dust filled the air, and the engines roared. The Blue Army, resembling a fearsome steel beast, advanced ferociously. All infantry fighting vehicles of the Blue Army were the latest upgraded models. Even the tanks are of the 85 and 90 models. Particularly, the 90 tank is renowned for possessing the most formidable firepower in the world at that time. With its 125mm smoothbore cannon, a single shell could utterly obliterate enemy tanks. In comparison, the disparity in combat capabilities between the two sides is immediately evident. In the exercise area, at the Red Army's Operational Command Center, Commander In Chung-ha stood before a map, meticulously orchestrating the deployment. Deploy the 2nd and 3rd Regiments of the S Division to the 663 area immediately to establish defensive fortifications. Securing this position will allow us to delay the Blue Army's tempo and complete our preparations ahead of schedule. Understood. The Chief of Staff nodded, swiftly making notes. In Chung-ha pointed to several locations on the map. Here and here, ensure that the 23rd and 48th Regiments arrive within 2 hours. We cannot allow the enemy to seize the initiative. His finger traced a line on the map, eventually halting at a specific point. This line represents our lifeline. Logistical supplies must come from this route. If it is severed, frontline operations will face significant challenges. I have already dispatched 1 regiment along with 2 battalions to secure it. But to be prudent, I have decided to reinforce our presence. Let's assign the Tiger Regiment to this position. They are unfamiliar with the area. The Chief of Staff paused, somewhat awkwardly stating, Commander, the Tiger Regiment has yet to report in. In Chung-ha's eyes widened in disbelief. Then why haven't you reached out to them? The Chief of Staff sheepishly replied, I attempted to contact them, but it seems they are untraceable. In Chung-ha slammed his palm on the table, his temper flaring. What is going on? What do these men intend to do? Is there no sense of discipline left? Forget them. They are inconsequential. He turned to the others, his voice cold. The Blue Army is a formidable opponent. We must commit fully to this battle and cannot afford to be negligent. Inform all units to complete their deployments in the shortest time possible. This battle must be won decisively. Chapter 167. Are we here to conduct agricultural tourism instead of fighting? At the Blue Army's command center, various instruments beeped and whirred as personnel scurried about. Suddenly, a communications soldier stood up, reporting loudly to Commander Yu Hongsheng. Report, Commander. Brigadier Lin of the 5th Combined Brigade has sent a telegram stating they have secured the 663 and 533 regions ahead of the Red Army. requesting further instructions. Yu Hongsheng replied coolly, "Order them to establish their positions as swiftly as possible and complete their combat preparations while awaiting orders." Yes, the communications soldier hurriedly relayed the message. The chief of staff nearby praised, "Brigadier Lin truly lives up to his lineage. That position is the closest to the Red Army, which has deployed at least 2 brigades against him, yet he managed to seize it first. It is one of the few high-ground locations in the exercise area and will greatly benefit our subsequent operations." Yu Hongsheng smiled. Lin Fan has inherited the talents of his esteemed predecessor. It is only fitting that he possesses such strength, or else he would not have been appointed as a brigade commander at such a young age. The chief of staff nodded, acknowledging that Lin Fan's combined brigade is hailed as the finest in the southeast, boasting the best equipment and undeniable prowess. During this exercise, the combined brigade serves as one of the principal forces of the Blue Army, playing a particularly critical role. Yu Hongsheng inquired of the chief of staff about the status and positions of the other units. The chief of staff promptly began to report. According to the intelligence relayed from the front lines, the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th Regiments of Division A are fully deployed and currently constructing defensive fortifications. Additionally, the 3 regiments of Division B are en route to the 633 area, expected to pass through the new county town and anticipated to arrive before dawn. Yu Hongsheng's mind raced as he placed small blue flags on the sand table before him. On this table, the flags representing the Red Army's troop deployments were encircled by blue flags, indicating that 2/5 of their forces were surrounded. The strength of the Blue Army lies not in superior weaponry, but in their advanced tactical thinking. Prior to the commencement of the exercise, they had already deduced the likely positions of the Red Army's forces. Now, with part of their troops encircled, the Red Army had effectively lost the initiative on the battlefield. The chief of staff solemnly asked, "Commander, should we take advantage of their lack of deployment and launch an attack to catch them off guard?" Yu Hongsheng shook his head, responding, "There is no need." The chief of staff, perplexed, queried, "Isn't this the best time to weaken their combat strength?" Yu Hongsheng pointed at the sand table, strategizing. Although the Red Army is surrounded, their positions are easy to defend and difficult to attack. A rash assault would yield little advantage. The exercise has only just begun. There is no need for haste. Our firepower, equipment, and combat capability all surpass theirs. We must proceed steadily, gradually consuming their strength. Narrowing his eyes, a glint of wisdom sparkled within them. Pursuing immediate gains will only lead to confusion. One misstep leads to many. As the superior force, the longer we remain motionless, the more anxious the Red Army will become, increasingly uncertain of our strategies. When they realize the extent to which their forces have been encircled and find themselves in disarray, that will be the moment our victory is assured. The chief of staff nodded gravely, fully agreeing with the commander's perspective. In large-scale military operations, it often devolves into a war of attrition. There is no need to disrupt the operational plan for the sake of minor, immediate gains. With the Blue Army's strength established, victory is inevitable. As long as all units complete their deployment and gradually tighten the encirclement, slowly diminishing the Red Army's viable strength, the ultimate victor of the exercise will undoubtedly be them. The chief of staff couldn't help but reflect on why the higher-ups appointed Yu Hongsheng as the commander of the Blue Army. His intellect, strategy, and overarching vision are unmatched. Even with a discernible advantage on the exercise field, he would not recklessly charge forward, but rather maintain a cautious approach, treating the opposing force as an equal adversary. Such a leader is indeed a qualified battlefield commander. Yu Hongsheng coldly commanded, "Notify all units to release reconnaissance troops immediately after fortifying their positions, conducting infiltration and flanking reconnaissance, ensuring that the entire exercise area remains under our vigilant observation. Furthermore, endeavor to gather all pertinent information regarding the Red forces. Should any anomalies arise, report them immediately." Understood. The Exercise Command Center has appointed Chun Guangming as the exercise supervisor. The role of the chief director is entrusted to a general dispatched from headquarters. Within the command center, several deputy commanders from the Southwest Theater, along with a multitude of high-ranking officials from the Southeast region, are present to observe. Naturally, Lin Guangyao, as a prominent leader of the Southeast, is among them. One deputy commander from the Southwest, with a grin, remarked, "Commander Lin, your Southeast indeed possesses considerable wealth. All your equipment is brand new. Are you here to engage in warfare or to flaunt your riches?" The Southeast is equipped with entirely new assets, while the Southwest is still utilizing outdated equipment, some of which are on the verge of being decommissioned. In terms of power, firepower, and defensive capability, we are simply not on the same level. Why is it that the Southeast has an abundance of resources while the Southwest is left with discarded items? Is it that the Southeast is the favored child and the Southwest is merely an adopted one? Detecting the underlying acidity in his words, Lin Guangyao smiled and replied, "Warfare is warfare, There's no room for frivolities. As for our equipment, our theater has only just been outfitted. We haven't had much opportunity to utilize it yet. Time is of the essence, and I've decided to leverage this exercise to allow for proper acclimatization. The Southwest personnel were immediately incensed. Such a significant exercise. And you intend to use it to familiarize yourself with new weapons? This is a blatant disregard for us, reducing us to mere tools. The earlier deputy commander snorted coldly. Commander Lin, even if you possess superior weaponry, what does it matter? The forces we've dispatched are all elite troops. Do not be caught off guard. Lin Guangyao laughed heartily. Welcome, welcome. Our blue forces specialize in defeating elite troops. The opposing group bristled with indignation. How could this fellow's words be so infuriating? Yet, Lin Guangyao appeared utterly unconcerned. He spoke the truth, without boasting. The strength of the blue forces already surpassed that of the red, and this time, the commanding general of the blue forces is Yu Hongshen. This individual is meticulous, steady, and particularly adept in large-scale military operations, with an unblemished record to date. His strategy is to seek victory through steady advancement, gradually expanding his advantage, ultimately achieving triumph in a snowballing manner. Nonetheless, in this exercise, his primary focus is on Lin Hui. Although he knows that Lin Hui will inevitably face defeat, he still hopes that this young man can unleash his full potential in battle, losing honorably in a fair fight. Lin Guangyao gazed at the screen, a confident smile playing at the corners of his mouth. You mischievous lad, this battle will reveal to you what true large-scale warfare entails. Victory in war is not merely a matter of clever tactics. To surpass your father, you have much ground to cover. The convoy swiftly traversed the asphalt road. The scenery outside racing past. Within the cramped vehicle, the members of the Tiger Battalion swayed unsteadily, each one appearing listless. Zhou Zhongyi looked at Lin Hui, his face a portrait of despair. Lin Hui, where exactly are you taking us? We've been driving for over 10 hours. You're not planning to sell us off, are you? Lin Hui chuckled softly. Captain, how could I possibly engage in such antics? Besides, if we're to sell them, at your age, they wouldn't fetch much value. Zhou Zhongyi nearly spat blood in disbelief. I was merely jesting, and you took it to heart? Beside them, Zhang Jiantao inquired curiously. Lin Hui, we set off before the exercises began yesterday, and after such a lengthy ride, my backside feels numb. You insisted we sleep the entire way. We're not swine. How could we possibly sleep for so long? Wang Yong patted the drowsy Chun Eru, who quickly straightened up, offering an awkward smile. I wasn't sleeping. I was merely resting my eyes. Brother Hui, do enlighten us. Where exactly are we headed? Lin Hui shook his head with a smile. Why ask so many questions? You'll find out when we arrive. The group exchanged exasperated glances, deciding to refrain from further inquiries. Half an hour later, the vehicle traversed the county town and arrived outside a village. We've arrived, disembark, Lin Hui announced. As the group stood up, their legs buckled, and they promptly sat back down, their limbs numb from the prolonged journey. After massaging their legs to alleviate the discomfort, they finally stepped out of the vehicle. Gazing at the distant village, Zhou Zhongyi was puzzled. Lin Hui, where are we? Aren't we supposed to rendezvous with the Red Army's main forces? Lin Hui glanced at him. I never mentioned a rendezvous. Zhou Zhongyi was at a loss for words. Then why have you brought us here? To engage in agritourism? Lin Hui grinned. Captain, you hit the nail on the head. We are indeed here for agritourism. Chapter 168. Serving the people is our time-honored tradition. Zhou Zhongyi looked at Lin Hui as if he were a fool. Agritourism? Surely, he must be out of his mind. Zhang Jiantao quickly reached out to touch Lin Hui's forehead, seriously stating, you don't have a fever, do you? Why are you suddenly spouting nonsense? We're in the midst of a war. Why engage in agritourism at this time? Shouldn't we wait until after it's concluded? Lin Hui swatted his hand away, irritated. Enough? Enough. Who says one cannot relax and cultivate one's spirit amidst warfare? Zhou Zhongyi realized this young man was earnest, and his frustration mounted. We've traversed mountains and rivers for over 10 hours to arrive here, and you tell me it's for agritourism? Do you not comprehend that we are in the midst of battle? Do you not recognize the waste of time, the jeopardization of our strategic advantage? Lin Hui grinned at him. Captain, it's not as dire as you make it out to be. I have my reasons for bringing you here. Reasons? Zhou Zhongyi was incensed. This lad must be out of his wits. The afternoon before the exercises commenced, he had led them from the barracks, first on foot, then by vehicle, enduring a grueling 10-hour ordeal. They had expected to seize a strategic location or ambush the Blue Army, yet instead, they found themselves in this desolate place. And now he spoke of agritourism? Zhou Zhongyi clutched his stomach in frustration, cursing himself for entrusting command to such an unreliable individual. Lin Hui had no intention of providing any explanations. He gathered everyone together and proclaimed loudly, this village is called Langlang Village, the largest in Sinan County. The young people have all gone to work in distant lands, leaving behind numerous elderly individuals and children. Shortly, You will assist the villagers with fetching water, doing chores, washing clothes, and tending to the gardens. Moreover, you must treat these elderly folks as your own parents, ensuring their comfort and happiness. Everyone stood in bewilderment, akin to children with a multitude of questions swirling in their minds. What on earth was this? It was clearly an endeavor to bring joy to the villagers. In normal circumstances, this wouldn't pose much of an issue. The military often organizes visits to care for the local populace, helping them with farming and resolving their daily struggles. But for heaven's sake, we are in the midst of a war. The urgency is palpable. Zhang Jiantao posed a profound question. Lin Hui, are we here for drills or to labor for the villagers? Lin Hui responded earnestly. Back in the day, our forebears often aided the local villagers with their agricultural tasks while combating the Japanese invaders. It is a fine tradition that must be upheld. If we do not have the support of the common folk, how can we expect to triumph in battle? Everyone nodded in agreement, exclaiming, well said. But perhaps we should refrain from such discussions. They collectively turned their gazes toward Zhou Zhongyi, the regiment leader, as Lin Hui was merely a temporary figure in command. Zhou Zhongyi shot a glare their way and curtly replied, what are you all staring at me for? Look at him. He is the commander, so just follow his lead. Lin Hui quickly affirmed, yes, focus on me, not him. After all these battles, how can you still lack such basic awareness? Do you not wish to advance in your careers or earn merit? The group nearly erupted in exasperation. Was he truly deluded enough to think of himself as the regiment leader? Zhou Zhongyi felt a twitch at the corner of his mouth. He couldn't shake the feeling that Lin Hui was becoming increasingly adept at his role. What if one day he actually began to overstep? Enough of this chatter. Let us disperse and assist the villagers. Lin Hui clapped his hands to disband the group. He then took Zhou Zhongyi with him to find the village head. Upon learning that Lin Hui had come to help the elderly, the village head was overjoyed and immediately consented. Most of the village's youth were working away from home, leaving behind elderly residents who struggled with tasks. Lin Hui's arrival with hundreds of men was indeed a tremendous help. Before long, everyone had scattered to various tasks, fetching water, chopping wood, feeding chickens and pigs, assisting the elderly with washing clothes, folding blankets, scrubbing pots, and cooking. They truly treated the villagers with the care one would afford to their own parents. From dawn until dusk, they worked tirelessly, hardly pausing to rest or even drink water. Assisting the populace had always been a cherished tradition of the military. Although they were uncertain of Lin Hui's ultimate intentions, their focus remained unwavering as they immersed themselves in their work. Young man, have a piece of flatbread. You look utterly exhausted. I'm not tired at all. Not in the slightest. Then why not sit down and take a break? Wait a moment, dear lady. I just noticed a pile of firewood in the corner. Allow me to chop it up first, so it will be convenient for you later. The elderly woman's eyes suddenly glistened with tears. The hard-working young soldier was many years younger than her own son. Back when her son had not yet gone out to work, he often helped around the house. Observing the diligent figure of the young soldier, she couldn't help but think of her son, who was laboring far away, and her heart ached with nostalgia. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the day's labor left everyone thoroughly exhausted. Wang Yong and Chun Eru simply collapsed onto the ground, their arms and legs devoid of strength. Wang Yong, panting, remarked, it's been a long time since I've worked so hard. I washed all the clothes at my fellow villager's home, swept the entire house and yard, and polished the tables and stools until they shone. In the afternoon, they had chopped wood, plowed the fields, and scattered bean seeds. Chun Eru chuckled, I'm about the same. My shoulders feel like they're about to break from carrying water. But for some reason, I feel an abundance of energy. As if I can't stop working and even want to do more. Back at home, I never felt this way. I just watched my parents toil. Nearby, Suda smiled and said, it's because of this uniform. What? The two turned to him in confusion. Suda gazed up at the beautiful sunset and continued. In the past, you were ordinary citizens, but now, dressed in military garb, you are honorable soldiers. This identity bestows upon you responsibility and mission, and it teaches you what it truly means to serve the people. Realization dawned upon them, and their faces brightened with joy. It was only then that they comprehended that they were no longer mere commoners. Looking at the stars on their shoulders, pride filled their hearts. Serving the people, that was indeed the essence of their duty as soldiers. Let us go, Wang Yong exclaimed as he rose. Let us see what other tasks we can help with at our fellow villager's home. Chun Eru stood up with a grin. I'll join you. I suddenly feel no pain in my shoulders, and my arms don't ache anymore. I feel invigorated all over. Squad leader, are you coming along? Suda chuckled. If both of you are going, how could I possibly stay behind? Let us go. In the evening, Lin Hui and the others took refuge at the village chief's home, bringing along many cans of meat as compensation for their hospitality. The village chief adamantly refused. Young comrades, you've worked tirelessly for the village all day. If I accept your gifts, people will surely scold me. He insisted that the house, usually uninhabited, should feel like their own home. In the kitchen, steamed buns and boiled eggs were prepared. They were welcome to help themselves whenever hunger struck. Lin Hui shook his head, determined to press the food upon him. Chief, we do not take a single thread from the masses. That is our long-standing tradition. Helping you with your work is our duty, so no need for such formality. However, you must accept these. It's a matter of discipline. If you refuse, our superiors will surely punish us. Unable to withstand their insistence, the village chief had no choice but to accept the offerings. At the dining table, with a few cups of wine to fortify their spirits, the village chief proudly recounted tales from the past. It's not just idle chatter. I once served as the militia platoon leader in this village. Wait a moment, allow me to perform for you. He leaped off the earthen bed and stood at attention. Then, wielding his clothing as if it were a bayonet, he commenced his self-directed performance. Thrust. Thrust. I shall thrust again. Lin Hui erupted into hearty laughter, clapping fervently. It is evident, indeed, that the old master's prowess remains undiminished. The village chief climbed onto the bed, chuckling. If only there were still battles to be fought. With my skills, any foe daring to approach would find themselves thoroughly bested. Lin Hui's eyes sparkled with mischief, sensing the perfect moment to broach a matter. With a smile, he said, Old master, I actually have a small request for your assistance. The village chief, thumping his thigh in excitement, replied, Do not hesitate. Whether it be one matter or two, a comrade in arms is always willing to help. One will suffice. Lin Hui lowered his voice, whispering into the chief's ear. Upon hearing this, the chief jumped up in shock, his eyes nearly bulging from their sockets. What? Warfare? I cannot engage in battle. I was merely jesting. How can you take me seriously? Chapter 169. With a uniform crew cut, can you really call these common folk? The village chief was utterly flabbergasted. I cannot do this. I'm far too old for such endeavors. Lin Hui, maintaining a charming smile, replied, Oh, village chief. Do not be so modest. Did you not just claim to have served as a militia squad leader? He mimicked the thrusting motions. Those recent thrusts were executed with impeccable precision, far surpassing what many soldiers could muster, sufficient to confront any enemy. The village chief's face flushed. In truth, he had never been a militia member nor a squad leader. He had merely observed the village militia practice a few times and retained a rough idea of their movements. After a couple of drinks, he had unwittingly boasted. Crucially, he had never anticipated that Lin Hui would seek his assistance for such a task. The chief hastily waved his hands, shaking his head. I truly cannot. I am but a novice. My frail body can hardly manage the simplest tasks, let alone engage in combat. Lin Hui continued to smile. Village chief. If I say you can, then you certainly can. Your vigor remains intact. Besides, this is for your benefit. For our benefit? The chief was momentarily perplexed, unable to comprehend. Lin Hui nodded earnestly, stating, The purpose of our exercises is to enhance the combat readiness of our troops, ensuring better protection for you and yours. We, the Red Faction, are the righteous forces standing alongside the common people. Thus, helping us equates to aiding yourselves, does it not? The village chief regarded him thoughtfully, nodding. True enough. But, Lin Hui interrupted, grasping the chief's hand. Village chief, the bond between soldiers and civilians is profound. Can you bear to witness us being bullied by the Blue Army? Certainly not. The village chief declared without hesitation. Lin Hui and his companions had arrived early in the village, assisting the locals with numerous tasks, washing clothes, preparing meals, tilling the land. They had even chopped firewood for the coming months and filled the water tanks of every household. Their diligence surpassed that of devoted sons and daughters. One must witness their oppression. Do not presume that the village chief would acquiesce. Not even the elderlies of the village would consent. Lin Hui continued, saying moreover, the Blue Army consists of outsiders, while we are local forces. Should we not unite as one? Should we not stand against a common foe? The village chief thumped his thigh, filled with righteous indignation. Indeed, those from other provinces are our enemies. Lin Hui chuckled, effortlessly leading the village chief down a path of agreement. The vast expanse of Yan Nation comprises numerous provinces and municipalities, each with its unique customs, habits, and dialects. There exist, to varying degrees, some petty grievances, yet they do not harbor malice, merely akin to the aversion of sweet tofu pudding towards its salty counterpart, or the disdain of cilantro enthusiasts for those who abstain from it. Lin Hui asserted earnestly, Here, we always prepare zongzi with savory pork and salted egg yolk. The rice soaked in soy sauce, what a delightful flavor it brings. Only that group stuffs their zongzi with red dates and sweet bean paste. The village chief, eyes wide and seething, retorted, Zongzi should be savory. Can sweetness ever compare? If one cannot share the same palate, how can they be considered kin? He gazed at Lin Hui, his demeanor suddenly animated. Comrade, speak plainly. What must we do? Merely abstaining from savory Zongzi makes them our adversaries. Lin Hui inwardly reveled in delight. In truth, He savored both sweet and savory varieties, each offering its own unique charm. However, at that moment, he set aside the sweet versus savory debate and promptly voiced his request. Could you assist us in procuring some local garments? Preferably those belonging to young men. The more, the better. The village chief chuckled heartily. That is simple. The young men from our village have all gone to work elsewhere, leaving behind plenty of clothes. My own sons have also left, and our cabinets are overflowing, taking up far too much space. Just wait, I shall fetch them for you right away. Seated cross-legged on the Kong, sipping on a small drink, Lin Hui felt a warm sense of satisfaction. Truly, the bond between the military and the people is profound. Indeed, one can never stray far from the masses, regardless of the circumstances. In the western side room, Zhou Zhongyi was washing his feet when he overheard Lin Hui's plan and inadvertently toppled the basin. His voice rose an octave. What did you say? You intend to mobilize the masses to ambush the Blue Army? Lin Hui nodded affirmatively. Zhou Zhongyi hastily wiped his feet on his pant leg, standing to confront him. Have you lost your senses? What exactly are you planning? Lin Hui smiled and replied, Of course, we shall engage the Blue Army. My entire strategy hinges on this. Long before the exercise commenced, he had already scouted the training grounds. He deduced that the Blue Army might station a logistics unit in this vicinity, being their rear base, and situated quite far from the Tiger Regiment's camp. Thus, Lin Hui set out early, intending to arrive before the Blue Army implemented their blockade. At this moment, the Blue Army's deployment was nearly complete. Not even a fly could penetrate their defenses. They would never suspect that their own backyard had already been infiltrated by personnel from the Tiger Regiment, blending seamlessly into the village. Now, as long as Lin Hui leads his men to masquerade as villagers and catches them off guard, they can launch a sudden attack. If the plan succeeds, the logistics of the Blue Army will be thoroughly incapacitated. During the day, he instructed everyone to disperse and assist the locals, all in an effort to build rapport and facilitate their forthcoming actions. Upon hearing the entire plan, Zhou Zhongyi was left astounded, his scalp tingling in disbelief. The chief of staff and several others, who were reclining on the Kong, could not help but rise, clearly shaken by the audacity of his scheme. Zhou Zhongyi patted Lin Hui on the shoulder, a forced smile on his face. Lin Hui, I truly admire your ingenuity. Pray tell, how did you conceive this notion? Lin Hui beamed with pride. I came up with it using my intellect. Quite brilliant, don't you think? Brilliant? Hardly, Zhou Zhongyi retorted. Spitting in frustration, what kind of ridiculous idea is this? To have everyone impersonate common folk, who would believe that? Have you ever seen a village where all the inhabitants sport crew cuts, dark skin, and a body covered in bumps? He turned to the chief of staff and inquired, Do you believe it? I do not, came the reply. Zhang Jiantao, do you believe it? If I did, I would be a fool. And you all? Everyone shook their heads in unison. The Tiger Brigade was a fully operational unit, with rigorous training routines that rendered all its members robust and muscular, their bodies boasting chiseled abs. While one or two might masquerade as villagers to slip by, the notion of the entire brigade, 100 strong, dressing as commoners was farcical, akin to burning paper at a grave to fool a ghost. Which village has such formidable folk? Zhou Zhongyi glared at Lin Hui. Do you see? Even we do not believe it. How could the Blue Army possibly accept it? Lin Hui smiled faintly. Commander, why do you lack confidence in yourselves? Zhou Zhongyi, exasperated, retorted. This is not about confidence. It is simply unrealistic. Do you think the Blue Army scouts are fools? That their eyes are merely for decoration? He was genuinely incensed. He had hoped Lin Hui would present a sound strategy, only to find that the idea was rotten to the core. Clearly, he should not have placed his trust in Lin Hui's fanciful tales. Seizing the opportunity, Zhou Zhongyi prepared to reclaim command, stating sternly, Lin Hui, war is not a child's play. I entrusted you with command because I believed in you. But what is this nonsense you're proposing? It's utterly chaotic. Lin Hui, instantly displeased, questioned, What do you mean, reclaim authority? Now that it is in my hands, you think I would relinquish it? With a face full of indignation, he asserted, Commander, during our first exercise, your entire brigade was annihilated. Was it not my leadership that broke through layers of encirclement to obliterate the Blue Army command and avenge you? Zhou Zhongyi hesitated. That is true. But, Lin Hui interrupted, and now, they intend to disband our Tiger Brigade. Is it not my mission to lead the entire brigade behind enemy lines, secure victory, and preserve our unit? Zhou Zhongyi faltered, unable to respond, for Lin Hui spoke the undeniable truth. Lin Hui passionately continued, Just days ago, in the border region, I risked my life to lead our brigade deep into the enemy's den, inflicting severe damage upon them, achieving monumental feats for our 602 unit and our Tiger Brigade. Yet now you doubt me, believing I am jesting with the gravity of war? Certainly, you may take command. At worst, we shall face defeat. If you are indifferent to the fate of the regiment, what concern should I harbor? Zhou Zhongyi's tones softened immediately, as if he bore the weight of a sinner's guilt. Lin Hui had risked life and limb for the Tiger Regiment, contributing immensely, yet he found himself questioning him, a most unjust sentiment indeed. Hastily, he approached to offer comfort. Shaolin, you must understand my anxiety. We are all striving for victory, are we not? Therefore, you must issue me a military order. Lin Hui's demeanor brightened at once. No problem. Should I falter, feel free to impose any punishment. Even demotion would be acceptable. Zhou Zhongyi nodded emphatically. Good. If you emerge victorious, whatever conditions you propose, I shall acquiesce. Agreed. Lin Hui chuckled, turning to prepare for the task ahead. Once he departed, several staff officers quickly gathered around, their faces etched with concern. With our current guise as common folk, who would believe us? Commander, please reconsider. Lin Hui's plan seemed far too precarious. He must not be allowed to act recklessly. However, Zhou Zhongyi, resolute in his decision, stated sternly, enough. If it appears imprudent, so be it. This young man seems destined to tread unconventional paths, yet he has consistently achieved remarkable results. Perhaps he will surprise us once more? When they attempted to voice further objections, Zhou Zhongyi interrupted. Let us proceed. Consider it a gamble alongside him. With the commander committed, they had no choice but to agree. Nodding helplessly, they exchanged glances, their faces mirroring weary smiles. What village's populace could possibly maintain such uniformity in crew cuts and muscular physiques? It was utterly absurd. Chapter 170. The commander is at his wit's end. Am I to be the scapegoat? Near Sinan County, within the confines of an abandoned glove factory, diverse military transports and jeeps amassed in abundance. The vast factory floor housed a significant cache of military supplies, alongside numerous barrels of fuel and boxes of ammunition. An hour prior, the logistics battalion of the Blue Army had taken up residence here. In the command room, the battalion commander, Zhao Goen, stood before a map, issuing orders to his subordinates in a cold tone. Deploy the 1st, 3rd, and 5th battalions to establish fixed posts around the perimeter, while the 4th and 5th guards will serve as mobile sentries. Additionally, assign 1/3 of the reconnaissance battalion to lie in wait as hidden observers. Dispatch the remainder to survey the surroundings and report any signs of the enemy or unusual occurrences immediately. Understood. The subordinates turned to relay the orders. The chief of staff approached, perplexed. Commander, the front lines are completely sealed off, and we are situated well behind enemy lines. There is no need for such vigilance. Is there? The commander replied sternly, better safe than sorry. Although we know they cannot breach the blockade, it is prudent to remain cautious. Recently, I witnessed an exercise in the southwest, codenamed Thunder, where the Blue Army held overwhelming advantages and was poised to launch a total assault. Do you know what transpired? The chief of staff shook his head, as it was outside his jurisdiction. Did the Red Army launch a counteroffensive? The commander shook his head with a wry smile. The Red Army had lost all chance for a counterattack. They were essentially awaiting their demise. In the end, a single regiment of the Red Army infiltrated our rear, exploiting the vulnerability of the Blue Army's command, and severed their command structure. Without a command system, the Blue Army fell into disarray, ultimately losing the entire exercise. The chief of staff wore an expression of disbelief. An entire regiment managed to infiltrate? The Blue Army had no inkling of it. The brigade commander chuckled softly. It's not that they were unaware. Rather, they never anticipated that the Red forces would attempt such an infiltration at this juncture. Hence, they dispatched a significant portion of their troops to the front lines, leaving only a single battalion to defend the rear, which was easily overrun by the adversary. He let out a faint sigh. Arrogance is a grave folly in military affairs, and this incident has imparted a profound lesson upon me. One must maintain stability even in advantageous positions. Only through meticulous caution can we prevent giving the enemy any opportunity. Moreover, our brigade serves as the Blue Army's primary logistical support. Thus, we cannot afford any unforeseen mishaps. The chief of staff nodded solemnly. Yet his mind lingered on the brigade commander's earlier remark about an entire regiment infiltrating the rear during the exercise. Was the Blue Army's command during that drill utterly inept? How could they have failed to notice such a breach, allowing the enemy to penetrate their base and seize control of the command center? The chief of staff inwardly scoffed. Such an occurrence could only transpire in the relatively weak southwestern region. Were it to happen here, it would be utterly impossible. An entire regiment infiltrating would surely be detected, except by the blind. Meanwhile, in the village, the Tiger Brigade had shed their military uniforms in favor of the everyday attire worn by the locals. Torn jeans, bell-bottoms, and mismatched vests created a striking urban-rural blend. Wang Yong, adorned in an outfit festooned with studs, felt a sense of pride. Surprisingly, it looked rather appealing, didn't it? Chun Eru, constricted by his tight-fitting pants, felt utterly uncomfortable, unsure of where to place his limbs. These trousers are unbearable, so tight they resemble something a child would wear. Wang Yong, I want to trade outfits with you. I need to wear yours. Go away, just go away. Zhou Zhongyi stood nearby, feeling awkward enough to dig a 3-bedroom apartment into the ground with his toes. Although they were in the countryside, the clothes were surprisingly fashionable, colorful, and varied in style. It was already quite jarring to see a group of buzz-cut men masquerading as ordinary citizens, and now it was even more glaringly conspicuous. Even a dog would bark in confusion. If the Blue Army failed to discern the anomaly, it would be as if they had encountered a ghost. Yet, they had no other choice but to proceed in this manner for the time being. Zhou Zhongyi inquired of the chief of staff, "Where is Lin Hui?" The chief of staff, clad in distressed jeans and a shirt emblazoned with a large heart, looked more avant-garde than mainstream. "I haven't seen him. He was absent early this morning." "Brigade commander, what do you think of my outfit? Do I look like an ordinary citizen?" Zhou Zhongyi shot him a disapproving glance. "You look less like an ordinary citizen and more like a complete fool. Couldn't you find something more appropriate to wear?" The chief of staff, his face filled with embarrassment, replied, "The village head provided these clothes, all meant for young men, most of whom are under 20. At my age, I certainly appear out of place in them. Perhaps I should borrow a couple of more suitable garments from the village head." Zhou Zhongyi shook his head in exasperation. Observing the chaotic scene around him, he increasingly felt that this situation was utterly unreliable. After 5 minutes had passed without a sign of Lin Hui's return, he began to feel a sense of urgency. That scoundrel, where could he possibly run off to? He mentioned resolving issues, yet now he has vanished. Just then, Lin Hui came running back from a distance, burdened with a large backpack. From afar, one could hear the clattering within, reminiscent of a bag filled with mahjong tiles. As he approached, Zhou Zhongyi quickly pulled him aside, frowning as he inquired, "Where on earth have you been this early? We've been waiting for ages." Lin Hui chuckled. "I went to resolve the problem. Did you manage to resolve it?" "Almost." As he spoke, he unzipped the bag and produced a stack of identification cards, thrusting them into the captain's hands. "Here they are. With these, we are guaranteed to have no issues." Zhou Zhongyi was momentarily taken aback. Where on earth did this lad procure so many IDs? The photographs belonged to his subordinates, yet the names and addresses were entirely incorrect. Glancing at a few, he was astonished to find one with his own likeness, though the name had transformed into Li Taiju, the age listed as 42, and the address altered to number 24. Group 73, Langlang Mountain. His expression was one of utter bewilderment. "Where did you get these?" Lin Hui smiled slyly. "I had someone in the county handle it." "Don't they look just like the real thing?" "That fellow's skills are impressive." Zhou Zhongyi angrily tossed the IDs back into the bag, nearly bulging his eyes out in disbelief. "Are you out of your mind? You actually want to get fake IDs, and brought back so many? Are you planning to rob a bank, or do you want me to end up in jail?" Lin Hui made a shushing gesture. "Rest assured, I want to end up in jail. This is part of my strategy. Once we're done using them, we'll destroy them immediately, if necessary. My brothers will vouch for you." Just as Zhou Zhongyi was about to breathe a sigh of relief, he instantly became furious again. "This was your doing, not mine. Why should I need your assurances?" Lin Hui grinned mischievously. "You're the captain, and we're just the workers. It's only because you permitted this that we've taken such actions. If someone comes to arrest us, who do you think they'll target?" Zhou Zhongyi felt a surge of frustration, wishing he could spit blood at Lin Hui's face. This rascal was utterly incorrigible, engaging in wrongdoing himself. He wished to offload the blame on Zhou. Truly, this lad was devoid of any sense of morality. Chapter 171. Keep joy for oneself. Sadness for the enemy. Seeing Zhou Zhongyi's face redden with indignation, Lin Hui hastily reassured him. "Captain, calm your anger. For the sake of victory, just take this blame once. After all, so many are here to vouch for you. What is there to fear?" Zhou Zhongyi felt an overwhelming surge of frustration, yet he stifled it, swallowing it down. He kept silently repeating to himself, "It's all for victory. It's all for winning. As long as we can secure a triumph and achieve merit, I'll gladly bear the blame. Once the exercise concludes, everything must be destroyed, without leaving a trace. Yes, yes, yes. And that hideout must be reported. Do you understand that this is illegal?" "Yes, yes, understood." Lin Hui nodded vigorously, akin to a chick pecking at rice. "Once the exercise is over, I will promptly inform the police. We will not condone any wrongdoing. We are merely left with no other choice. The Blue Army is so formidable, we cannot prevail without some unconventional tactics." Zhou Zhongyi took a deep breath. Lin Hui's words rang true. The Blue Army was significantly stronger than the Red side, with far superior weaponry and equipment. If they adhered to conventional methods, victory would be impossible. They could only take a different approach, employing unexpected maneuvers. He picked up an identification card, scrutinizing the information it contained, then turned to Lin Hui and inquired, "You think the Blue Army will believe these counterfeit documents?" "They won't." Lin Hui's nonchalant response utterly befuddled Zhou Zhongyi. "What the hell? Are you toying with me? Risking so much to acquire these fake documents only for the Blue Army to remain skeptical?" Isn't that just wasting money and making mistakes, ultimately leading to your own downfall? Grasping Lin Hui's arm, he earnestly asked, Lin Hui, please tell me, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? After all this effort, are you merely trying to deceive children? Lin Hui flashed him a mischievous grin and replied, don't worry, Commander. If they don't believe, I have ways to compel them to accept it, and they certainly won't have any leverage against us. Zhou Zhongyi felt as though his mind was on the verge of crashing. His thoughts could not keep pace with Lin Hui's audacious plans. Although he understood the intention behind the ruse of masquerading